We are 2 minutes early, trying to be very broadcastable. Let me see here. Checking connection. You are now live. Hey, everybody. Hey, there we are. There is everybody. My goodness, there's the YouTube world. Okay, here's the YouTube world. Aha. Oh, please, Ross, that's very flattering. Hello, Els. It's good to see you. Hey, Robbie. Thanks for spending time with me, you guys. I met you at Halloween Horror Nights. Hi, Pumpkin Queen. And let me see over here. So we're kind of running live everywhere, on Instagram, on Instagram, on just about everything here. Let me see if I'm showing up here. No, that's okay. But I can see you guys on my phone. How is everyone? You could just give me thumbs up and stuff like that. I'm reading all my comments myself, so if I miss anyone, by the way, let's do a little test here. Can you all hear me? That's always a good sign. Greetings from Anaheim. And hey, Anaheim is one of my favorite places. I kind of grew up in Anaheim. Can you believe that? Close to it, close to Disneyland and all those great places. And yes, you can hear me. Hey, Matthew. And in Instagram, you guys can hear me too. I want my Instagram people to be closer to me. So let me see if I can do this here without messing anything up. Look at that. Look at that. There we are. So I'm going to be looking at everyone. There's my YouTube world, Facebook world, Instagram world. Okay. So what the heck are we here for? Oh, we're here for the watch party. First of all, let's get some music started. Alexa, play music by John Massari.
Shuffling song by John Massari on Amazon Music.
What do you know? It's queued up. So, okay, so that sounds like it's from the classic soundtrack. Yeah, that's it. I can hear those DX7s and Oberheims and all that, and Lynn drum machine. Okay, so we're here for the watch party, right? Alexa, lower. And let me see here. I'm on my I'm here on my what do you call it? My Netflix. Got my Netflix here. And I'm going to start the movie, but I'm not going to be watching the movie. It looks like my feed on we call it on Facebook is a little dark, but hope you guys can bear with me on that. Okay, here we go. I have my my Netflix, and for some reason we have to search. So until we all watch this movie enough, you have to kind of hunt for it. You just go into the search, and then there it is, and then here it is. There you go. So look at that. There it is. So I'm going to press play. Boom. And it's going to be playing. I'll be looking at it here. Let me see. Is it started? There it is. Look at that. There it is. It's starting. Now, this music you're hearing behind is the reimagined score. So there you go. Kyoto Brothers. Look at that. Okay, the movie's going to be playing. I'm not going to sit here and hold up the movie the whole time. I'm just going to have it in front with the sound off. So anyways, you guys were really cool to give me some questions. I'm going to read a few comments. Excuse me if I miss any of them. Let me see. Clowns is my third favorite movie of all time. Well, that's cool. You know what? I'm glad to be on the list. Okay, here we go. John, you must please watch on YouTube the Dickies song Killer Clowns is slower version. It's perfect. Yeah, I would like to hear that. A slower version. We were okay. You know, one thing I forgot to do is make myself a cup of tea before I came on air, but that's okay. I think I'll survive. And let me see, L's night. Let me see here. All these people waving. Veronica, hello. Illustrator just joined. I'm still afraid of clowns. Sarah, I know, but you're not afraid of corgis. I don't think corgis are an issue with you. Who is my favorite clown? Well, that's one of the questions. There's like a ton of questions that people listed, and I'm going to answer those. And here we go. Pumpkin Queen, good to see you. You're on YouTube. That's awesome. It's good to see the YouTube community come out. I think my YouTube has just started to wake up after all of these years. Hey, Monster Mailman. Good to see you. Okay, so we have some questions here. This is from, oh gosh, there's some people that are going to be joining us later. I'm really sorry that they aren't here with me right now. You know, it's so interesting. The screen, everything's so bright around here, but my Facebook screen is really dark. I don't know how if I can get it right, but I'm wearing a Killer Clowns pin. I don't know if you could see that. Too bad there's no way to adjust for the light. But anyways, so we have some people. You know what? I could probably come back to Michelle. By the way, how is everyone doing? Are you all staying indoors and safe and washing your hands and all the good stuff? I asked that only because, you know, I'm kind of like a uncle and maybe a granddad too. And it's so good to see you here. I originally planned to do something like this live with a group of people. Hey, Bernhard Eder, when are we going on tour? Bernhard, hold on. Let me write that question down. Bernhard asks all the best questions. If you don't know who Bernhard Eder is, he helped me orchestrate the concert, the live to film concert, and he was so cool to come over. Okay, concert tour. And I'm spelling concert with a K. Okay, because there's some interesting things going on in that respect. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, it's like springtime, and it kind of got warm here. So I'm going to take off my hoodie, my favorite hoodie right now. By the way, can you hear this music in the background? I mean, it should be there, but really low. Anyone responding on the music? It's coming out of Alexa. Alexa, play music by John Massari.
Shuffle songs by John Massari on Amazon Music.
Thank you, Alexa. It's starting up at the beginning. Alexa, next. We've already heard that one. Here we go. So where were we? Okay, we were going to go to questions. Okay, barely hear the music. I guess that's okay. It's not coming into the audio feed. It's coming out of Alexa, which is right here. My little Alexa that spies on me. And oops, I didn't mean see. Every time I say her name, she stops.
Sorry, I don't know that.
She continues with the music. I love it. Okay, so Ross asked a question that I'm going to address. And Bernhard can hear it because he has exceptional ears. So is everyone doing good? Everyone's home at safe and sound? Just give me like thumbs up or something like that to let me know. I'm assuming everyone's home and everyone's doing well. And I think we're going to get through this. You know, and we should take these things seriously because history has shown us. Thank you for the thumbs up with the sound. Hey, Patrick. You know, my grandparents were around at like the turn of the century, as in the 1800s going into the 1900s, as in 19th century going into the 20th century. And they lived through the influenza virus, which was pretty deadly. And I remember my grandparents saying that at one point after a few months, there were less and less people getting sick. and then they had these big parades, and then all of a sudden it was worse than it had begun. So even though there might be a lull in the infection rate, we still got to stay in for a while, because this is kind of like, gosh, this is worse than any alien invasion we can probably imagine of right now, because invasions now only happen where? In movies, right? Well, this is the real thing. So this is an alien invasion of something we can't see. It's so microscopic, it can go through fabric. It's so tiny and small. I've been told that some um, viruses are so tiny they can go through a teacup. That's pretty. That's pretty. That's pretty small. I have to take a little production break here. Here you go. My associate producer is going to be getting me some tea. Anyways, so we got that business out of the way. Now I'm going to address questions. Okay. So one of the top questions I got, by the way, how many of you are watching the movie as we are having this conversation? Just out of curiosity. Yes, Pumpkin Queen. Yeah, there was a really good documentary about the Spanish flu. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. And let me check out here our friends on YouTube. I mean oh, wait a minute. On Facebook, it's not updating. There you go. Preparing nut peeps. I don't know what that means. Oh, that's right. You're not getting it at in England. That's so terrible. Hey, Arletta, she's safe at home. That's good to know. Oh, cool. That's really cool to hear that you're on your way from home, Mr. Formaldehyde. I know who you really are. Anyways, so here we go. We're going to start with some questions. Let me see. Where are we in this movie? It's updating right now. Probably because my bandwidth is just absolutely tapped. But right now I'm where the farmer is going into the forest, which is actually my favorite part of the movie. That reminds me. I'm going to tell you a story. When I auditioned for this really awesome movie, there was one scene that I focused on in particular, and it was the scene where Mike and Debbie come up to the spaceship into the forest, and they go into the spaceship, and they have all, they have the big chase, and they come out, and then the clowns invade. I felt that part of the movie was, yes, Pooh Bear. I felt that part of the movie was like the cornerstone of the movie. Everything, you could probably just see that part of the movie. It plays like a short film and kind of get what the concept of the whole movie was. And so that's what I did. And I was really blessed to get the gig, and they liked what I did. Some of you already know this, but the actual Killer Clown March, I wrote that when I was in high school. And the band that I was in, their name was Crisis. They heard the song, they thought, oh, that's okay. What are the chords? And when I told them what the chords were, they balked. They said, well, those are jazz chords. I said, because it kind of, the theme kind of spells out an F major 7 chord. And so the F major 7 chord wasn't cutting it with them. And so I told everyone that, well, I guess I'll use this for something else one day. And then years later, I did Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's the first thing I saw. I said, bam, that's it. My thing that I wrote all those years ago would go perfect there. And it worked perfectly, and it was a lot of fun. And it identifies Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Okay, where am I, you may ask? I'm in my writing room. It's a very, very humble, simple writing room. I have a very good computer, a keyboard, a desk to write on, and music paper, and a pencil and paper, and my imagination. And that's what makes all this stuff happen. So anyways, let's go back to the music. So the music was, hey, Ivortrees, how you doing? And Bernhard's still there. Bernhard's shaming me. He's saying I was using parallel fifths. What can I tell you? Yeah, I know, but it's not the 1600s. We can use parallel fifths now. And anyways, in any event, so we have so there was another piece of music. I don't know if you're familiar with the music just before we see Clownzilla. Well, I had composed that for a trailer for Friday the 13th, part 6. Okay. And we'll come back to that story later. And it's interesting the reason why it wasn't used in the trailer, but then found its way into Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which is pretty awesome. So, so are you ready for me to answer some of these questions, or does anyone want to shoot me some questions uh, at the moment? Oh, Michelle. Hey, Michelle, since you're here, I'm going to stop. Michelle Halloween. That's really great that you're here. Okay, so here, I'm going to start with Michelle Halloween. She's got a great podcast. She's on Instagram and all over the place. You should look her up. She has a really great question here. What was your favorite horror soundtrack? Well, that's a very difficult question. That is a really difficult question. And I had to think about that. And so I just closed my eyes and went back in time. And I realized the one soundtrack that was absolutely incredible for an absolutely incredible movie was The Shining. And The Shining was really great because that was directed by Stanley Kubrick. And to me, that was like grand opera, grand theater. I mean, it's like horror at its highest level on so many levels. It's incredible. The music was a collection of music. There was music from um, from Wendy Carlos. There was music from sadly a Polish composer who just passed away, Krzysztof Penderecki, and Hector Berlioz from the classical era, from Hector Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. And when I heard from his Symphonie Fantastique, they used the Dies Irae. And now I'll give you a little bit of a history lesson. The Dies Irae is part of a mass. And often composers would, like at the death of someone of note would die, they would write a mass for that person and compose a piece of music that followed all the stations of a requiem mass, which is a service for the dead, for someone that died. They would have that at a funeral. And it had several parts. There's the introit, there's the Kyrie eleison, there's the gradual, there's the Dies Irae, which is the Day of Wrath, the offertory, the Sanctus, the Agnus Dei, the Liber Me, and In Paradisum, because of course when someone dies, they go to paradise, right? So there were components of that music in The Shining, which just blew me away back in the day. It just absolutely blew me away. And then one piece of music in particular, and this is going to tie into the Friday the 13th story about the trailer. In The Shining, they used the Dies Irae, which is the Day of Wrath or Day of Reckoning from Berlioz' Symphonie Fantastique. Now, it wasn't a Requiem Mass, but in his Symphonie Fantastique, he used that a piece of liturgical music, and also the theme, which was the theme of the Dies Irae was written many years prior to the 1800s. Probably Bernhard can tell me the exact year. Yes, rest in peace, Christoph. So the Dies Irae, it goes something like Dies Irae, Dies Ille, which the words translated are Day of Wrath, Doom impending, heaven and earth, ashes ending. How medieval is that? That is absolutely awesome. So that was used in The Shining. Can you tell I like the score to The Shining? I think you can see my point. Let me see here. Okay, so that was in the 1980s that The Shining was released. So about 1986, I was approached to do the trailer for Friday the 13th, part 6. And I had this great, awesome, raw piece of music that I said, this is going to just grab the audience. This is going to just be wonderful. And if you listen to the music just before Clownzilla comes out, that was the music for the trailer. It's almost exactly 60 seconds long. So, director heard it and went, I don't know. Do you think you can use that Dies Irae? And I go, yeah, but it's 1996 now. If it was 1980, I would say, sure, but it's 1986, and everyone and their brother for every horror movie has used the Dies Irae. It shows up everywhere. Don't you think it's overused? He says, no, I kind of like that. And can you put like a church bell in it? I go, well, that's been overused too. That's so cliche. Why do you want to do that? And so I remember sitting there with them an entire afternoon, putting together this like piece of music that like, oh God, I was so embarrassed. So finally I saw it in the movie theater, and it just the impact was flat. It was like, ugh. But that didn't stop the success of the movie. I think people want to see Friday the 13th because of everything that Friday the 13th is about. So, by the way, just can we stop here and can I ask a question? Am I boring the crap out of you? Just let me know. I'm getting silence. Okay, we have a pause due to a poor connection. Okay, we're back again. So I'm getting hearts. I'm getting hearts, blue, green, red hearts. Robbie says no. Thank you, Robbie. I will send you your check. Hey, John, hope you're safe. Yes, I am safe, Bailey. Let me see. Okay, nope, not at all. Okay, good. Okay, so we've gone to that. So Michelle, Halloween, I hope that answered your question about my favorite score. I mean, so it's like I only went on for like forever about the first question. So we have and so if I was going to pick another composer I really like, it's a friend of mine. I went to school with him. It's Christopher Young. He did Hellraiser. He's an incredible composer. Every one of his scores are so innovative. It's amazing. And he's like one of the guys. I mean, I work at a computer and I work at a keyboard and I write on paper. Christopher still does everything in his head and on paper, and it's really awesome. And I like to do that too. Sometimes I like to lock myself away and just be very disciplined and just write with the piano and use my imagination and write everything down and work with other people to create something really new and fresh. That's always a lot of fun. And I'm going to be doing some movies. I'm going to be doing some videos to show you how I do some of my work. And it's not all horror music, believe it or not. I don't always do horror music. Anyways, okay, so Brandon asked me a very interesting question as I cover my face here because I'm reading questions. Here we go. So if the film he's referring to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So Brendan asked me if the film Killer Clowns from Outer Space was made now, do you think that it would develop the same kind of cult status? Well, that's really interesting. I think now maybe there's too much marketing and focus groups involved, and it would become what the film company thinks the audience wants. I know that sounds funny. And they would hope that they would digest what they give back what they think the audience wants. Where I think the magic in Killer Clowns from Outer Space is, who in the world would have thought of a movie about killer clowns from outer space that come down to Earth, scare people, mystify people, and then eat them? Well, actually, store them for eating later. Who would have ever thought of that? And I think who knows if they ever did a focus group, like when they went to malls and they said, would you see a movie called Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Probably it would rate very low. But I think what has happened is that the film has called out all of us, the people who understand, the people, the weird, the unforgotten, the mystified, the left behind. They want something new, original, and to this day, it still holds its weight. When you think about it, if someone was going to blindly off of the title do Killer Clowns from Outer Space, it would probably be something very dark and it'd probably be really cool. It just wouldn't be the movie that you saw, which had elements of comedy, had elements of horror and sci-fi. It had a lot of nods to other movies like Forbidden Planet and The Blob and all of that. And it just had a good amount of shtick, and there's a lot of personal presence of the Kyoto brothers in the movie, because a lot of the characters' names are people that they grew up with. Even the characters they grew up, like the Terenzi brothers, there was an actual Terenzi brothers, and they actually got in trouble all the time. So they, it's a very personal expression. I mean, that's what being a good artist is when you can put something of your life experience into your work. Okay, I'm going to take a break here for a second and read some. Bryce says, "Hi, John. It's nice to see you. Hope you're doing well." I am, and it sounds like you're doing well too, Bryce. Bryson. And let me see over in the Facebook world. Let's keep up. Eddie Martinez. Hey, Eddie, how you doing? Hey, Dawn. It's good to hear from you. And let me see over here. We have Natalie McFly. I've heard rumors of a big budget sequel. Any information? Oh, we'll get to that. We'll get to that subject, I should say. Okay, so let me get to my next question. This is from Joshua Duke. Excuse me. Yeah, this is from Joshua / Natalie. Which killer clown is your personal favorite? Well, that's a very good. I don't have one. I have two. It's Shorty, and it's for specific reasons. I love Shorty, and I love Rudy. Now, the reason why I love Shorty is because Shorty is an archetype of a persona that maybe isn't understood, is smaller, maybe is not as popular, what have you. It kind of she or he represents those archetypes. And so, however, once put against the wall, you don't mess with Shorty, because Shorty will come out swinging. And we know how that ends. It doesn't end very pretty. So I love Shorty. Hey, Rad, 22,000 something or 20,000. So yeah, knock your block off. Yeah, that's Shorty is the big. Shorty is what everyone remembers. And then and everyone loves to dress as Shorty in cosplay. Then the other one, which is my favorite, is Rudy, because Rudy, I think, is clever. I think he is probably gifted with more technical skills than the other clowns, and he or she is just a darn cute clown. That's all I can say. And I don't know if, like all the clowns, I don't know if there's such a thing as a male and female clown. We saw female clowns in the movie, but I think those were caricatures to lure people in, especially dumb, nowhere guys like the Terenzi brothers. By the way, the two guys that played the Terenzi brothers are just brilliant comedians, by the way. If you've ever look them up on IMDb and look up other things that they've done, they're just hilarious. They really know their slapstick comedy. Okay. Okay, here's another one. Here's a good one. Had you not created the best soundtrack ever? Oh, that's sweet. This is from Natalie. What do you think you'd do at that time? Well, back then I was doing a lot of things for Disney. There was this thing called the Disney Channel that needed lots of music, and I was doing a lot of music for their promotional department. I've done a lot of commercials too, lots of things to do with advertising and promotion, in addition to like episodic television and various movies of all sorts. Anyways, so where are we here? So at the time, I guess I would have sadly missed out on this great iconic piece of crazy Americana film. That's my honest opinion there. That's my honest observation. I think I just would have missed out. It would be really sad, and I would not be here today talking to you. And who knows, whoever else would have done the score, maybe they wouldn't have been that attached to it. Who knows? Because film composers sometimes get really attached to some of their films. I mean, there are some films I've done that I did it. It's over, and that chapter is closed because that's just the way it is. I mean, even though I try as best as I can to fall in love with all the films I do, it's still a job. It's a product that you're making for the media industry, and so things have to be done to a certain level of professionalism and competence in order for it to work with the product. But then there are things you fall in love with, and there are several movies and TV shows and projects I've worked on that I really fell in love with, and Killer Clowns from Outer Space is definitely at the top of the list. So here we go. I hope that answered your question, Natalie. Okay, so I got a bunch of really great questions that, like, I see all the questions you're asking me. They're here in there's this one really great guy. I almost ran into him and his family at Halloween Horror Nights back in last Halloween here in Hollywood. It's Robert Vizuzzo. Hopefully I pronounced that name correctly. Vizuzzo or Vizuzzo. Anyways, for the love of the fans, boy, that's serious. A Killer Clowns movie, TV show, or both. Honestly, the movie series could be like 2 to 5 movies. TV series, like 10 seasons. Well, you got a point there. You could do 10 seasons of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I mean, you can really blow that whole concept up in so many different dimensions. That's true. But here's what I can tell you from what I know, and I know I'm pretty much clued in on things. I have not been privy to any information regarding a sequel. And if you look up on IMDb or IMDb Pro, you're going to see there's a 3D one that was attempted back in several years ago. But I'm pretty sure the intellectual property holders, which is MGM, I am certain, very certain to a high degree, that they are aware of the love that the fans have for this movie, and they are very aware of it, and something may be coming of it. I just don't know. That's going to be their decision in the long run. Until then, very innovative people like Michael Aiello at Universal Orlando and John Murdy here in Universal Hollywood have kind of brought the series, have bought the movie to the fans so they can have an experience, because the only experience everyone has right now is the film that luckily we get to see it on Netflix. But you also get to see it in like they had a scare zone one year, and then they had a house. I mean, I'd be happy just to have scare zones because it's a longer experience. It's a lot of fun. You can witness the music and hang around with the characters and the scare actors, and it's an absolute blast. That's my take on it. So as far as doing all the what do you call it? Doing all the talk of the sequel and things like that, that is going to be in the hands of the intellectual property holders, which is MGM. And we live in a free society. You can contact them. They have a corporate website, and if you want to express yourself in however which way you want to express yourself, I'm sure they may, if enough people contact them, they will listen. So that's where I stand on that. And then here it goes. It would be great to have a Killer Clowns official product. Fans would love to purchase new things. Well, that's true. Well, anyone out there that is a craft maker and has ingenuity to do Killer Clown themed products such as t-shirts and models and figures and toys and all that stuff, there's nothing stopping you from planning it out. There are resources, and you can contact me, that will look at your product. I mean, legitimate resources. They will look at your product and they will work out getting all the rights for you and work out some sort of plan where it's amicable to you, the manufacturer or the artist. And this way you can have a licensed product that is condoned by the intellectual property holders. It's all there. The resources are there. You just have to have the the need, the desire to do it, and then you figure out how to get that done. I mean, it's like in a simple analogy, if you knew you wanted to walk to the post office, you would plan out a route, and if you took that route and then you realized that they were doing road work, well, you have to alter your route because your goal is to get to the post office. So if you have a goal in mind and something interesting you want to do, all you have to do is basically do it. How do you get started? Well, you get started by just starting. It was interesting when I did the live to film concert. Everyone was telling me, "Well, how are you gonna do that?" I go, "I'll figure it out." I called MGM. I go, "This is the people I've gotten together. This is the concert. This is when I wanna do it. What do I have to give you guys? What do you need?" And they told me, okay, they worked with me on it. They approved of everything, and I licensed it. I bought the license to put on this concert. We had a concert. It was an absolutely wonderful concert. So, let me see. Let me interrupt that. We'll go to the concert tour thing. So the concert tour for the Killer Klowns live to film concert, we're working on it. That's all I can tell you right now. We are working on it. That's a very good vision, and we want to do something worthy of the fans. We don't want to do something, half baked or something like that. We want to do something cool and legitimate because you guys deserve it. Can you make a game app of Killer Klowns from Outer Space? I do not have the game app and code writing gene in me. I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry. Perhaps, but I have a lot of great story ideas. I definitely have a lot of great music. So if anyone wants to, get together and kind of figure out how to, make that happen, that's wonderful, because it can happen. You just have to make the product. You can't just go up somewhere and say, "Hi, what if I did this thing?" Like, let's say if I made a Killer Klowns video game. What if I made a Killer Klowns video game and would you like it? They would say, "Well, let's see the game. Let's see what you have." You hear anyone that's like come up with an idea, they have a prototype. You know, this is my this is my prototype, and they can see what it is and they can see the potential in it, and then they can work with you. So it's just a matter of doing it. It's not that no one wants to do it, is that no one's attempted to do it. If anyone out there writes code or writes video games, heck, give me a call or give me an email. Don't call me. Give me a whatever. Connect with me on social media. Are you going to make another soundtrack? What thoughts? Now, that's a very good question that Rob has. Am I going to make another soundtrack? Well, I was thinking of, just for the heck of it, I would like to get like an actual real life calliope, like a couple of them. Like maybe a calliope that has more percussion instruments, a calliope that has like brass instruments, a calliope has like organs and all that sort of stuff, and do the entire soundtrack with calliopes. That would sound awesome. Anyways, so I'm sorry. Instagram. Sometimes you keep cutting out. I hope everything's okay. My dad delivers to a game designer. Cool. That is very awesome, Rad 20,000. Okay, here we go. We got another question. Will they keep the 80s approach? Okay, here it is. Will they keep the 80s approach, or will they go new CGI? Well, knowing the Kyoto brothers, they're very, to say that, they're experts at what they do. So I'm sure that if they want to use a combination of CGI and practical effects, heck, that's up to them. They know how to do that. Will they do it? They'll do whatever it is that looks great. What can I tell you? Is sci-fi really working with you on? So, the sci-fi thing, you can look it up yourself. I don't think anything's happening with sci-fi. My guess is MGM tends to go big or go home. You know what I mean? When MGM does something, they kind of don't do small potato. They go big time. So I can't tell you if, who knows, maybe Sci-Fi will have an agreement with MGM. I can't comment on that. I just know that it was rumored, but nothing ever happened to that. Nothing ever happened. And like I say, I stress rumored. So here you go. Can they release new masks for Halloween? Yeah, sure. That's the same thing. Same thing. You're a mask maker and you want to do your own interpretation of Killer Clowns. Heck, go do it. Am I doing a Halloween Horror Nights again? Gosh, I wish. That would be kind of cool. That would be cool to have a scare zone. I just don't know if it's in the cards for Universal or not. That's up to them. And the last question that he has is, what about Killer Clowns comic book series? Hey, a comic book series. Now, how cool is that? Because that could be, you could subscribe and get a printed copy. You can also get a virtual online subscription. It would come update every week or every month or something like that to keep people on the edge of their seat. The great thing about a comic book series for Killer Clowns is key. It's not only the artwork, it's the stories and how they're told. From what point of view are they told? And that's what kept all the Marvel comics. It was all in the story. Man, that story was locked down first before they started drawing things. And I'm sure there are comic book artists that they develop their story with drawings and what have you, but the stories were just like always rock solid. So that's another thing. Hey, who's that? I mean, if your love is to do comic books, heck, go do it. No one's stopping you. Don't wait to ask for permission. Just go do it. I know it sounds simple. I mean, start by getting up in the morning and saying, okay, in the morning, after I do whatever I do, I'm going to spend 15 minutes a day thinking about whatever this thing is. And you start writing it down. You come up with a little plan, and don't worry if people ain't going to understand it. That's going to happen. I mean, when I was doing the Killer Clowns concert video, and if you look on social media, you'll see that concert happen, and that was a lot of fun. There was a lot of electricity in the air. The Dickies had the biggest blast in the world. The Kyoto brothers, gosh, I'll quote Steven. He says it was one of the most remarkable evenings in his career. That was Stephen Kyoto, one of the creators of Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It was a wonderful event, but you have to realize that when I first proposed the idea, hey Marcus, how you doing? When I proposed the idea to several people, they go, that sounds crazy. Are people going to want to see that? I go, I want to see it. I want to have it happen. As a matter of fact, when I was selling tickets, there's a weird thing I learned. Everything's a learning curve. I did not know that here in Los Angeles, tickets sell out like sometimes either when you announce or a week before. So there's this period, but between the time you announce and you're going to have your concert, that it's like, okay, we don't have a fill. Our theater's empty. Those seats are full. I had people calling me from Florida, from Pennsylvania, from way up in Washington State, saying, "Are you sure you're going to have the concert? Should I reimburse my tickets?" And I said, "No. You know what? You come down here. I don't care if there's one person in the audience. You're going to get the best performance in your life." And for crying out loud, I was going to do that. I was going to do that concert come rain or shine. I didn't care if there was 4 people. We had a capacity crowd, and everyone had a wonderful time. Bernhard Eder helped me conduct some of the cues, and we had the cast there. Suzanne was there. Grant Kramer was there. All of the Kyoto brothers were there. There was one of the Terenzi brothers was there, and he was just like flabbergasted. It was just really awesome to have everyone there. There's one sad thing though, one sad note. Someone made me a custom baton in the shape of Rudy, and it went missing that night, and I'm really sad about that. So there's an artist that's crafting a new one for me that I really appreciate. So let me see. Let me look at some of your comments here. So Greg, let me see. A game would be awesome where you could be either kids trying to stop them or be the clowns trying to take over the town. That's cool. Role playing, and you can play it all remotely. That is a really awesome concept. Also, I also want to say, it's so great to see there's so many kids, like children, like 5 and 6 and 7 years old that just love the characters. I mean, we have a new generation. I feel like I have a big family. I have sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, and grandchildren that love this little movie. And it's just, I can't tell you, that in itself is better than any reward I think you can get. That people love what you do, and they appreciate it. But it's interesting, fan theories about there's a friend of mine, he's making me a model of the Killer Clown spaceship. And I just think that, so if I can nerd out, can I nerd out for just like a minute? Just nerd out a bit. Just give me thumbs up if it's okay for me to nerd out. I don't know if that's, Oh, you're welcome, Dawn. I'm going to press like on Dawn's comment. Okay, so I got some thumbs up. Very good. Okay, so my theory with the Killer Clown spaceship is that it's a trans-dimensional craft, that once you're far away from it, it looks like a regular size circus tent, right? But once you get close, space-time stretches, and it appears to get bigger, but it's always been bigger. And when you go inside, it's like, it may look like it fits on a football field, but in reality, it's like as big as a city inside, like a city that can have a population of 2 million people, because they know how to manipulate time and space in such a way that they can crowd everything together in a small space, physical space of time, space, and gravity. There's a gravitational lensing and light lensing and all that kind of stuff, all that cool stuff. And then for them to travel, I mean, they don't have to literally move. They basically just like kind of bend time and space to get to the other location. So it's basically like, if you can imagine folding a page, if like you're on this side of the page, and you need to go to this side of the page, somehow the principle is you bend the space and then you're at the new spot. It's bizarre. That's like, anyways, so that's okay. I'm through geeking out. You love that theory. Thanks, Killa. Stay Killa. Thank you. It's always been my theory. I thought, how come everyone says, well, the spaceship looks really big inside. Yeah, let it be big inside. Who needs that opinion? Please. Okay. So I'm going to answer if you guys have any other questions. I don't know what else. I think I kind of went through everything. I don't know if there's anything else you want to. Shadow show puppet time. That would be a really good part of the video game. That would also be a good kids game. Like you have a ultra G-rated family version of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and the kids could pretend they're puppets, and instead of one puppet killing people, maybe it turns them into a cake or something. Well, yes, creepy cool kid. It's big because you go underground. You go underground too, but I think it's even bigger than that. What part of the soundtrack did you come up with first? Oh, that's a very good question. The very first was the Killer Clown March. Tucker asked that question. The Killer Clown March was the very first thing I kind of made work, and I built the front part, the chase scene in front of that. I just knew it would work. It's just like sometimes I just sing the music in my head, and while I see the scene, I was taught film. I went to one of the persons that I studied orchestration and composition from. Also, one of his other pupils was James Newton Howard, and he taught. His name was Dr. Albert Harris, and he taught a lot of composers. The guy that did the Matrix score, he studied from this guy too, and he said there was a time in history well, I'm not going to go into a big deal, but there was a time in history. Let's talk about film. We're not going to talk about opera. We won't talk about vaudeville or anything, but we'll talk about film. Where they had silent films, and they had music directors at every major theater, and they would either have someone that plays an organ or piano, or they had a small orchestra, and they would these. And unless a movie, like the higher budget, high profile silent movies, had a score that came with it, and that was either played by a small orchestra or it was played by an organist or something like that. And they used to just pick, sometimes they would just pick out things from the classical repertory and say, you know what, um, Lohengrin from the opera, Lohengrin um, from the opera repertoire, that would go in great here. Or no, there's some Puccini over here. Oh, use a little bit of Ralph Vaughan Williams there. They would incorporate all this music from the classical repertory, and it would all of a sudden the movie comes to life with the music. So that's how I kind of approach it. I kind of think to myself, my goodness, you know what? There's this Prokofiev piano concerto that moves really fast, and it's not like I copied it verbatim. Actually, there's one part that I did, but I got the general feel down and I incorporated the model of that music in the chase scene. So that's how I did that. So let me think here. Let me see. I'm going to go to Facebook and see what questions they have. Wow. Oh, Melanie. Hi, Melanie. Rob posted this earlier. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Let me see. Okay. She said right there was a music artist, Magnificent Seven. Blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry. There's a long question here. So, wow. I got an 8-part question here. I don't know. Well, listen, okay, I'll give it a shot. Do you have already music ready for a possible movie and or TV show? Well, I always have music ready. Her third question is, when you make the music, are you just given the description? Well, it's interesting. I don't like to read the script, because if I read the script, I've already directed the movie and I see everything a certain way, and I don't want to have any preconception. I'd rather know the basic story outline, and then see the first cut of the movie. Can you please get a band back together? Yeah, that would be good, cool. Thanks. This great movie. The Kyoto Brothers. Can only hope there's more to come. Do you think you will make an action figures? Oh yeah, we already discussed that. Yeah, I think if someone wanted to make action figures, they should just make them and get the license from MGM. Thanks for the amazing, awesome response, for answering these questions. You're absolutely welcome. I also have developed a DJ set that I'm still working on. I'm doing a commercial, and I'm doing something. I'm doing some music of for the Christmas season. I am going to develop my DJ set a little bit more, because that was a lot of fun. When I was in Halloween, when I was in Orlando, I was invited by the Stonewall Bar to perform there, and that was a lot of fun. It was the very first time. Yes, Wagner, Lohengrin's Wagner. Thank you, Bernhard. Anyways, going back to the DJ set, it was a lot of fun to get the get all that music together and rework it in a way that's entertaining for people to dance to. It was a lot of fun. What's your favorite horror movie? Hi, Ross Fitzpatrick. I'd have to say one of my favorite horror movies is The Shining. Yeah, that's one of the first things I talked about. I thought that they improvised when they played piano in the silent movies. They did improvise, but they always had those were great musicians back there, and they had all sorts of repertory memorized. So they would kind of see a movie, they'd like see it once or twice, and then they would make notes on what to play, and they would just like they would just say place a little bit of Chopin etude, play a little bit of a Beethoven sonata, and they would go back and forth. Who is really good at that is an American composer named Gottschalk. He I understand he also played. His music was used quite a bit in silent movies. He was a precursor to. Um, um, oh my goodness, I'm dropping out on names. He was a precursor to. Okay, Bernhard, if you're there, you have to help me. Very famous American composer, brother. There was a brother team. Oh my God, how am I forgetting? Oh, okay, we've got to take a break here. I don't want to get to a point where I'm not efficient. Okay. And the name is coming up. George Gershwin. George Gershwin was also very good at improvising. So so in that era, people knew the repertory, the piano repertory and the classical repertory, and the contemporary repertory of the time so well that they could just. You're right. They can just like run it through, but they always had a little plan of what music they were going to do. Is there any specific movie or movies scores that most influenced Killer Clowns from Outer Space? I'd have to say that Killer Clowns was very influenced by symphonies of Shostakovich, some of Penderecki, which is the composer who did music for that his music was used in The Shining, and Prokofiev, and the Beastie Boys, Eddie Van Halen, Frank Zappa. Those were my influences for that. The Newmans, no, it was the Gershwin brothers, Bernhard. Okay, Grim Life Collective. Sorry we are late, but we are here. You're not only late, Michael, you forgot to bring the cookies. That's not fair. That is like so uncool. That is so not a cool friend thing to do. Forget to bring the cookies. Because I have my coffee. I have my hot cocoa here, but I have no cookies. In case anyone doesn't know, the great Michael and Jessica of Grim Life Collective are here. They have graced our presence. They're really awesome YouTubers. They were out here a few months ago. I got whiskey in that mug. I do not have whiskey in that mug. I'm not allowed to have whiskey when the sun is up. How dare you accuse me of that? Besides, if it was whiskey, it would be single malt whiskey, and I would have a neat shot at the side. Anyways, I will make it up for you. You'll make me grim oatmeal cookies. I can't imagine what the heck that's going to look like. Okay, Tucker Johnson. He has a long question here. This is my favorite scene. Hopefully, there can be more scary scenes in a future sequel. Do you prefer the comedy or horror aspect? Well, that's what makes the combination of the comedy and horror is what makes Killer Clowns work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, one doesn't work without the other. You know, it's just not the way it works. So, okay, let me see. Oh, wow, Don, I didn't know you like Stanley Kubrick. I'm glad. Eyes Wide Shut. I have not seen that. I have to see that. That's like supposed to be interesting. I got to check it out. Keegan Harris. Hi, John. What would you say is your favorite song from Killer Clowns to work on? Actually, okay, I have a story about my favorite piece of music that I did for Killer Clowns. It was at the very end when there's the big battle with Clownzilla, and it ties into the explosion of the spaceship, and the pies come down on their face, and we go into that great Dickies song. I had originally did a version, and I was rushing to finish it because I was going to go to Charlie's bachelor party, and the bus left at like 7:00. And if you weren't there at 7:00, you know, you would have to come back to the after party at 1 a.m. So I was rushing, and I looked at it, and I'm running through the music in my head, and I'm saying, no. So I continued from 7 p.m. to like 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And I left my house very satisfied that I had finished, and I liked what I worked on. It can play in my head. That's the interesting thing. You just don't want to write something that looks good on paper. You have to write something that's going to play back in your head, that is going that you feel proud of, that you can close your eyes and listen to your music, remember what you did, and it just flows. It has a flow. So I was very happy. So I left my house like after 1 a.m. and the Kyoto Brothers Studios, where they had their after party, it was right over the hill. The guys were just coming back and we partied until like 5 in the morning. Everyone was passed out. I was stone cold sober the whole time. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. I can't even begin to describe the debauchery. Okay, I have to start up my Instagram again. I shared a story. And then I got to go here. Since now I know how to story, I'm going to go live now. Come on, live. Your video will be available soon. Okay, well, you know what? Forget that. Let me just, excuse me, guys. Give me a little technical moment here. Go back into Instagram. Okay. And we're going to go here. Oh, no, we don't want to go there. We want to go to live. Live on Instagram. Boom. Checking connection. Connection should be good. Okay, someone's giving me a bunch of hearts. Who the heck is that? Hi, John. What would you say was your favorite song from Killer Klowns to work on? Oh, I just answered that. Yeah. Hopefully that was a good answer. That kind of went into a long, drawn-out story about debauchery. But isn't that what music is all about? Is a bit of beauty, a bit of debauchery. Which scene out of all of your movies, out of all of my movies, was your favorite to score? You know, there's not just one. That's like if I had like 10 kids, you would say, what's your favorite kid? They're all my favorite kid. The thing with music, it's not just the music after it's been done. It's the experience in writing the music that is precious to me. It's that, you know, coming up with something that you know that works. You can hear it in your head. It's Michelangelo said, you know, when he was given a big hunk of stone, he said he knew the figure is in there. The figure that he's doing, it's in there. I just have to remove all the stuff that doesn't belong, and it will be in there. It's kind of like that, you know. There's sometimes I can hear the music in the distance. It's like someone's playing something in the next room. It sounds nice. You don't know what it is, and you get closer and closer to it, and then you finally realize it. There's nothing worse than working out something that's painful to work on. In other words, it's like forced. You don't want to force your hand in creating anything, really. You want to be able to have the experience such that you're in a frame of mind that whatever you create and whatever ends up being used in the project is going to be rewarding, not only for yourself, but for the people that listen to it. Or if you want to speak from an industry standpoint, your client is happy, because, you know, there's nothing like having a happy client. So let me see if there's any. Are they really are your favorite kids? Yes, they're all my favorite kids. You know, I did a Western last year with a director named Josh Becker, and that was a lot of fun. And it was like an old time Western. And I had months before, I had been binging on YouTube watching old black and white Westerns. And some of the stories on those Westerns are really good. The acting is a little corny and what have you. The production value is really weird because they had strict rules. They didn't want to have to shoot at night because you would have to get all kinds of lighting equipment, right? Well, you know, so they did this thing. They used to do this thing with the camera called day for night. They would shoot during the day, but they would do something to the lens to make it seem like it's at nighttime, but it's not nighttime. And so there was really weird stuff like that. But anyways, I just love those Westerns. And one thing that resonates with me with all those Westerns is that the score was always really nice. The scores were just always incredible. And so as fate would have it, someone called me for a Western, and they said, you know, we have some reservations because you're the Killer Clown guy. I go, well, I know, but I also write music. And I cut my teeth on Little House on the Prairie. So that's kind of a Western. And so I auditioned for it, and they really liked it. So that's coming out at some point It'll probably be on, who knows? I don't know. It'll be on Amazon or something like that at some point. Okay, let me see. Let me read some more of these questions. We got a question from Keegan Harris. Hi, John. What would you say is your favorite song from Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Okay, sorry about that. I already did that one. Okay, here's Grisby Gomez Fiere. Hi, John. What would you consider the most challenging aspect of composing music? Oh my goodness. Well, challenging aspect is preparation. You can't prepare enough. I would say that I listen to a lot of music, and I always listen to other composers that compose music that I wouldn't normally think of composing, because I really like to be challenged. I don't want to hear music that sounds like my music. It's like, if you ever heard that thing, show me something I don't know. So if you hear a piece of music and you go, my goodness, I never thought of that. That's incredible. You know, Here's a weird example. Tubular Bells that was used in The Exorcist. That actually came out months before the movie came out. And when I heard it, I thought, wow, that's a pretty piece. And then when I saw it, oh, it works because that beautiful theme represents the innocent child that's being imprisoned inside her body by the devil, and so it worked so perfectly. So I would say that's the most challenging thing, is to be prepared, you know. Um, yes, David, I did Little House on the Prairie. That's where I cut my teeth. Where I worked with the Mr. David Rose. I learned so much. David Rose, he was like in his late 70s, early 80s when I started working with him. And he was so talented. I learned so much from him. I really had to be on my top game. He allowed me to do like little 15-second pieces of music, and I used to help orchestrate with his music a little bit. But basically, it was a giant learning experience, and I'm really so happy about that. So, Henry Anderson, what do you think about composers like Danny Elfman, who often don't follow music conventions? Well, that's perfect. Yeah, that's what's it all about. What the heck is a music convention? You know, conventions in music. You mean like the standard, like the norm? Yeah, I understand. I've done things where people says, "Well, we just don't do things like that." I know, but let's try it. And that's where the magic happens, is when you go out on a limb and you try something different. And good night, Bernhard. Thank you for hanging out with me here and tolerating me. So yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's like, I love with Johnson Johansson, the guy that did the movie Arrival. Oh man, when I saw that, I didn't see it in the movie theater. I saw it on Netflix. I was applauding when I heard the first pieces of music. I just absolutely loved it, because I'm so happy he didn't do any kind of weird science fiction tropes or cliche things. He did something completely out of the ordinary. I mean, I have some things that I have incorporated that luckily never got thrown out of the movie. I did there's a ancient instrument called the viola organista, which is basically, if you can imagine, a piano, but it has these cylinders inside of it that bow across the strings, and it is the most awesome sounding instrument in the world. And I use it wherever I can get a chance. I did a movie, a virtual reality movie called The Story of Jesus Christ, and I got to use that instrument in a lot of the music for that score, and it just was great. So as far as convention, great, break the convention. Heck yeah. There's an Amy Lombard. She gave me 2 hearts. Thank you. Let me see if I do. I get to comment. I get to. Oh, I don't get to respond here. I have to Okay, that's it. Well, that's it. Amy, thank you for giving me the 2 hearts. That's very sweet of you. How does it feel to interact with fans like us? Well, fans like you. If how does it feel to speak to the unwashed masses? No, I mean, it feels wonderful. You guys, I can't tell you how rewarding it is that you appreciate what I do and that you connect with it. You understand it. That's really awesome. I hope you'll be there when I do something really crazy, and you might want to, if you look up online. Okay, here's some crazy things I did. I collaborated with a cellist. Her name is Margaret Maria. We did an album called Cinematic Steampunk, and it took us 2.5 years or more to make that album because we were both working on separate projects. Check it out, Cinematic Steampunk. You just Google it, Cinematic Steampunk, John Massari, and you probably will come to a page where you can play examples from that collection of music, and it's bizarre stuff. Oh man, I just loved it. I got to do all the stuff that I don't get a chance to do. So I hope so. It can't kill you. Oh, well, thank you very much, Magic 51. That's really cool. I hope so. It can't be Killer Clowns without the composer himself. That's really sweet of you. There's also a video game that came out. Well, there's a video game that they're making into a movie, and I was really thrilled to know that the composer of the video game is going to be the composer for um, the movie, because sometimes people get distracted, filmmakers and film companies, distributors, they get distracted, and they will plug someone else in because that person worked on the last project, and that just happens. There's it's Gustavo Santaolalla. Santalalia, I think that's the way it's pronounced, and he's done tons of movies. But he did the video game for the video game The Last of Us that they're going to be making into a movie. So it was really cool that they kept him on for from the video game into the movie. And let me see, Greg Brenneman, loved meeting you last year at Dare to Escape. Oh wow, well, you were there. That's right. Hearing your take on things and answering all the questions back then. I don't have anything new, so I'm taking in what else everyone else is asking. Oh, cool. Well, Greg was at a really cool escape room. I had never, ever been to an escape room ever in my life. I'm not really a gamer either. I don't play video games, and there's a really serious reason why I don't play video games. There were, in the early days of video games, like in the 90s, I loved anything to do with aviation and shooting planes down, where it was like a single shooter thing where you're in the cockpit, shooting down on the planes. And sometimes I would spend 10, 12 hours, and I just feel it just carved out too much time out of my day. And so I don't play video games. However, I went to an escape room, and I had the most fun. The reason why I had the most fun is because I was with a group of people, and we were like solving this puzzle on how to go into this 80s. It was an 80s VHS video store theme, and we had to get in and find all these clues to find the key to get out. It was really awesome. It was so awesome. And I must say, there's at one point I think I unwillingly cheated because I accidentally picked the lock on one of the treasure boxes, and I went up to the camera, to the monitors. I go, I'm really sorry, I accidentally picked the lock, so I opened it without solving the clue. So they let me slide on that one. Okay, Henry Anderson, how did you start learning to write music? I've been wanting to for the longest time, but I can't write themes for crap. Wow, what a powerfully honest question. Well, here's how I started. It's very easy. Listen to a lot of music. When I was a kid, you could not tear me away from a radio. I even to this day, I will sleep with earbuds on to this day, and I'm going over the entire Anton Bruckner's symphonies because I had never made myself familiar with Anton Bruckner. Just only a little bit of his Fourth Symphony, and that's it. So I'm listening to him, and I just love the way he develops his themes. It's so raw and so awkward, actually, in a way, compared to other symphonists at the time. And so when I was a little kid, I just listened to the radio all the time. I would, if I can walk away from the radio singing the melody, it just makes an impression on you. And so that's one good way to start is listen to lots of music and try to replicate it just by singing it afterwards. You don't have to sing it for anyone. You can sing it for yourself. And little by little, Igor Stravinsky said composing is like knowing an instrument. You get better at it with practice. You can't just, I mean, unfortunately, there have been very traumatic times in my life that many years had gone by since I wrote one single note of music. I had never written one note to another note for, I'm embarrassed to say how many years, but that happens to everyone. Life happens. And when I came back to it, it was like, wow, I had to start all over from the beginning. I had to like start listening to music over and over, listening to it critically, sitting down at the piano, trying to noodle at the piano what I was hearing in the music, and bit by bit, it came back to me. It comes back to you, but it's something you have to practice. It's something, and if you have a love for it, that will be reflective in your music. Does that make sense, Henry? Okay, let's go over here to the Facebook world. Hi, Jonathan. Yeah, good old Stravinsky. You can't go wrong with Stravinsky. What a character. What a great guy. You want to read a good book, you read Stravinsky's memoirs. It's funny. He wrote his memoirs when he was like 56 or 58 years old, but he lived to almost 90. He was 88 when he passed away, but he'd written his life memoirs. He could have waited a little bit longer to add another 20 years, but he had one thing I liked about Igor Stravinsky's life. He did a lot of concertizing here in the United States, and he had to drive everywhere. Imagine he's like a comedian or any musician where they book gigs at various parts of the country, and they used to drive. And he used to love to stop at roadside stops that had that had lizards or rock collections, or some place that claims that they have a monster there, and maybe they have a giant iguana, and people pay a nickel to see the iguana. And he used to just be so thrilled. He had this boy-like curiosity about it. I think that's what you have to have. You have to have a childlike curiosity about things and find out the amazing things that exist in the world, and bring that to whatever it is that you do. Okay, Henry, I mostly listen to hard rock. Cool. Same here. So I doubt that helps me learn to compose for film. That's not true at all. There's a lot of great thematic stuff. Jonathan Padilla, would you agree with me? There's a lot of great stuff going on in metal, and you're talking about hard rock or metal. I mean, there's a band that I like that they've been around forever called Lacuna Coil. I love their use of melodies. It's great. I mean, what do you call it? Metallica is all, gosh, there's so much musical development in Metallica. It's not funny. I still study Metallica. I saw a concert of the vinyl that was green, but I think it should be pink and played at 423K. Okay, Bryce, I'll keep that in mind. And oh yeah, Jonathan Padilla says they loves them so much. I don't know if you're talking about Lacuna Coil or Metallica, but probably both. And then Jonathan brought up a good case that Stravinsky loved his whiskey. Yeah, he could pack it away. I'm not a big whiskey drinker myself. I'll have a beer from occasionally. I'll have a shot of good single malt Scotch, but I stay away from too much alcohol. Oh, you want to hear? Okay, here you go. Children, would you like to hear my marijuana story? Who wants to hear my marijuana story? I think I have a captive audience. I'm really thrilled. Which movie am I working on now? Hi, Jose, 2018. I'm not working on a movie. I'm working on a commercial now, in particular. It's a commercial with a Japanese company, and it's a miniaturized amusement park called Small Worlds. It's absolutely fascinating. I'll be releasing the music in a few weeks. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of thumbs up for hearing about my marijuana story. Who out here? Who here is a 420 person? Do we have 420? Yeah, Rose Blade. No problem that you're late. Yeah, you would like to hear the 420 story. There are okay. Facebook is exploding with up notes. Okay, so I have a 420 story for you that probably 420 people aren't going to like. So a long time ago, I did one of the very first short films for A&M Records. We all know what A&M Records is, right? Well-established record company, especially in the early 80s. Okay, this is going back. So I was honored to be hired I was hired by the M of A&M Records. His name was Mr. Jerry Moss, and he was the he was the business end of the business, and I was very thrilled to do their very very first. I'm going to turn the music down because I think it's sucking up the bandwidth. Alexa, stop. Okay, so the I had finished the movie. It was a short film. It was like 40 minutes long. I think it showed on cable, but it was kind of like an afterlife thing. Someone like they die and they get reborn or something like that. It was very good. It was a lot of fun. It was a good score too. I had a lot of fun with it. And Jerry Moss, the M&A&M Records, wanted to talk to me. His secretary called me in the morning, says, Mr. Moss would like to call and tell you what a wonderful job you've done and discuss some other things. And I said, that's great. Well, I had a roommate at the time, and he liked to smoke the marijuana. And from time to time I did. I'm manhandling Alexa. Well, sometimes, she gets a bit. I think she's taken up too much bandwidth. That's because I'm getting pauses, hiccups on my Instagram. So anyways, my roommate, I clockwork on Fridays, would light up at 8:00. And I told him, well, I'm waiting for a call. I'm not going to have anything. And I wouldn't have much. I would just have a little bit just to help get me to sleep. And so 8:00 came by, he didn't call. 9:00 came by, 11:00 didn't call. I figured, well, maybe maybe I'll talk to him on Monday. So I I partake in the ganja, and and all of a sudden everything takes effect, right? And then the phone rings at 11:45. You have to understand, very busy, successful people, they work late hours. They work long, late hours. They get up early and they work late. And I learned that the hard way. So I had a conversation. Henry Moss's secretary says, I have Mr. Moss on the phone. Is this John Massari? Yes, this is John. And I don't know what I said, but when I hung up the phone, my roommate said, wow, who the hell was that? I go, well, that was Jerry Moss. Really? Wow. Because you sounded like a complete moron. And that was the last time I put anything close to marijuana in my mouth, and that's why I don't get drunk. And so that's it. So that's probably I don't know. You either think that's a good story, or you think, oh boy, we're not partying with that guy. I mean, usually, because when I go to see bands and stuff like that, I will have a beer, maybe 2 beers, but I won't have like 5 and 6. And I used to, you'll probably read about it in my memoirs one day, but I used to work in a business that we used to keep control of people that got too high. And I got some stories to tell, but not here. Basically, you're boring now. You're right, Dawn. I'm just boring. No, it's good to be professional. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate that bit of sympathy. I don't know if I'm going to get the same from some of my 420 friends on Instagram, but you have a story to tell. Well, thank you. Yes, I do. That's a cool story. Well, I'm glad you like that story. Thank you, Mary B, who gave me some and that's the best you could do. They're herbs and seedlings. Yeah, you don't have any. There's no marijuana emojis. So, anyways, any other question, guys? I hopefully I'm not boring you to absolute pieces. Um, let me see here. I should. Okay, wait a minute. Someone said something. Can I use your music on a school project, Jose? Of course you can. Absolutely, absolutely. I can't imagine what project you want to use it on, but I'd love for you to use it. Please go ahead. I'm reviewing, excuse me, YouTube and Facebook. I'm reviewing Instagram. Besides, okay, this is Dead Alive Bruner. Besides your movie scores, what is some of your favorite movie scores, and who are some of your favorite composers? Well, some of my favorite composers are um, they write classical music. Um, there's a composer that he's a bit older than me. His name is John Harbison. He writes symphonies and you know chamber music and things like that. I really like his music. Um, I also like the classics. I like Monteverdi. Um, I love Scarlatti. I studied Scarlatti. I played a lot of his music, and here's what's interesting. I love learning about the composers whose music I study because their life stories are just as interesting, if not um, more interesting than music. There's so much you can learn from their music. Okay, Jonathan Padilla on Facebook says, "Who's done recording at our good friends Larry Gets a Studio for live stuff? It's called The Lair." Oh, you're probably responding to someone else. Oh, by the way, everyone, listen, I got to tell you, Jonathan Padilla is here, at least on Facebook and Instagram. Jonathan Padilla, he played the Killer Clown March. He played um, rhythm guitar, power guitar, and he also played shred. I mean, he just like blasted the guitar solo away. And there are guitarists that are trying to learn his guitar solo. If you listen to you can listen to it online too, streaming. If you listen to the reimagined Killer Clowns from Outer Space March that goes on for 6 minutes, he plays guitar in that, and he just like completely uh, blew me away because basically he lives up in the mountains. I live down here in Glendale, which is just over the hill from Hollywood, literally a 4-minute drive from Hollywood. Oh, the lights came on. Hold on a second. No, no, I guess not. I was getting I'm getting more contrast on YouTube and YouTube and Facebook. So anyway, so he's up in the mountains, and I'm basically sending him the bass and drum tracks and the kind of like the basic ideas of what the guitar does, and he just completely blew me away. He sends back these finished tracks that once I lay them into the track, they're just completely smoking. Completely smoking. It was like, as a matter of fact, I said, okay, I can't mix this here in the box at my computer. I've got to go to Larry's studio and use some of his gear, make this stuff sound really good. So good to have Jonathan here. Okay, David Bailey. Thanks for the thanks for your contribution to the Clown Motel. Look at Clown Motel. It's a bizarre as hell movie. I did their trailer. Really cool trailer. Love what you did on the post credits Scarlet scene. Love learning more about behind the scenes of the 80s when I was being brought up on horror. And let me see, how are we doing on YouTube? Let me see. Oh, wow. Okay. Matthew Roberts says, when will you be releasing the 30th anniversary concert on Blu-ray? You know what? That's a very good question. I would love to release. We archived that performance on video, and it looked really good. And the director of that video and who edited it together and just made everything work perfectly was Matthew Heitschuh. And I'm looking forward to when we can get the concert tour happening. We will revisit that. I'll have enough street cred, so to speak, to make that happen easier. I think right now, just releasing the video is going to taint the effect of the live tour. So that's my opinion. Or it could be an interesting documentary, like a behind the scenes kind of thing. I don't know, but all I know is that I do have video of the concert, but it's for archive purposes only. It's not for broadcast or I mean, I could show it to people here at my house, but I mean, I can't release it. Okay, so Mr. Valencia 27, what is your favorite excuse me, what is your favorite 80s horror besides Clowns, of course? I love stuff like Reanimator. Oh, Reanimator is absolutely brilliant. And The Thing. The thing that was done in the 80s was absolutely awesome. Reanimator, here's what makes Reanimator a great horror movie, is that it was directed and shot like a stage play. And it actually was written like a stage play. And that's what makes it so exciting. Unfortunately, the director of Reanimator, I believe it's Stuart Gordon, just passed away just a few days ago, like last week, I think it was last week. Yeah, but Reanimator definitely. That would be up there on my list of favorite horror movies. So entertaining, so innovative. I think Tim Burton took some cues from that movie, if you don't mind me saying. I think he appreciated what Reanimator was about, because there's a certain theatrical aspect to that. Hi, Pumpkin Queen. Yep, I love Reanimator. Yeah, I do too. When you come back to check YouTube chat, let me know if I can post a cover of the march. Of course you can cover the march. That guy with the studio. Absolutely. I think last year I put the word out. I says, "Hey, anyone wants to do a cover of the Killer Clown March? Do a cover and then post it on YouTube, post it on whatever you want." I can't say if it'd be demonetized or anything like that, but who cares? Who cares if it's demonetized? MGM or Arrow release, which did you like best on Blu-ray? Well, I got to be quite honest with you. When I did my concert, this is Michael Scarn. Is that how your name is pronounced? No. Excuse me. Matthew Roberts. Which did I like best? Well, when we did the concert, MGM gave me the original negative transfer that the Kyoto brothers supervised. And the Kyoto brothers themselves, they really like the way the colors resonate in that original one. So, I haven't seen back to back. I'm sure they're both beautiful, So Michael Scarn, hey John, how are you handling the COVID-19 quarantine? I hope you're staying healthy. Yes, thank you very much. I always work at home anyways. So for me, it's just odd for me that when I do go out, if I have to drive somewhere, to see the streets basically empty and the freeways that are always full, at least 80% empty. At night it's very quiet and the air is very clean and sweet. I wonder why. Maybe it's because there's not millions of cars on the road, perhaps. Okay, Mr. Valencia, did you enjoy Hollywood HHN? I'm scared for Hollywood, even though I was a wolfman and not a clown. Oh, wow, you were a scare actor. That is cool. That is cool to know. Yeah, I got to talk to the scare actors one day. I was really thrilled. I thank them very much for their bravery of having to listen to my music over and over and over and over and over and over again until for several months. I mean, that's a level that's a high level of a bravery and fortitude to be able to listen to the same music every night and not go completely crazy. There's some very talented people there. Okay, David Bailey. People keep asking me, and I'm just editing a horror movie. Okay, wait a minute, David Bailey. What about Halloween? Your thoughts on the soundtrack of Halloween. Okay, here it is. This is my official. No one can get me on this, so this is my absolute. You have to understand. When I saw Halloween, I'm my speed of horror film is like a well-crafted film like The Shining. Okay. The original Halloween has a lot of dead spots in it. The original Halloween theme is very good. It's very reminiscent of Tubular Bells. And Tubular Bells was a pure piece of music. It wasn't written for horror, it wasn't written for everything. So I felt that the Halloween theme is an emulation of the Tubular Bells theme, and that's where the music score ends for me. I really didn't think the music score for the first Halloween was good at all. Matter of fact, I felt that it made the movie move slower. So that's my professional opinion. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, basically the director wanted to write the music along with a musician friend of his, and that's what you got. It's, the director is a very good director. John Carpenter is an incredible director. His music, his theme, his directing of The Thing is absolutely brilliant. I just didn't think Halloween was his best work. I mean, it's iconic. You can't get over that. It's definitely iconic. It does have its terrifying moments and stuff. I will give it that. But if I'm going to pick a one, I kind of go to the grand opera of like The Shining, because Stanley Kubrick, he can do everything. I mean, he did a sci-fi movie, then he does a historical film. He's done all. Stanley Kubrick is like such a massive genius and with a brilliant mind, so that's where my tastes lie. Now, if someone does a very primitive type of horror film and they can do it creatively, like, who's really great is great at that is Richard Elfman, Danny Elfman's brother. He's an incredible director. He's got a very keen theatrical sense, and he's got great tastes. Of course, he uses his brother for his scores, so that makes it the score. He's got the score part covered very well. So I hope that doesn't freak people out that I'm not the biggest fan of Halloween. I mean, I'm glad that it's so popular and people love the mask and all that. Okay, Jonathan, I'm reading your comment here. So Jonathan Padilla, the awesome guitarist for the Killer Clown from Outer Space reimagined theme, he said Carpenter pushed that score out pretty quickly, but it was cool using 5/4 time signatures for the main theme. My fave part is Laura's thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. That's fantastic. Let me see. What do we got here? What else we got? Creepy Cool Kid. Okay, bye, Creepy Cool Kid. Thank you for hanging out. There's supposed to be my friend Cody from Nostalgic Nebula checking in at some point. I don't know where he is, but he's probably still at work. Anyways, so Tucker, the music never got old, but hearing that phrase "another door" over and over does me a bit crazy toward the end. I can understand that. I can definitely sympathize with you on that. Okay, so Henry Anderson, what do you think the Nightmare on Elm Street score? Oh, those were awesome. Those were awesome. Let me think. That was done by oh my goodness, why am I forgetting his name? Tell me the name of the composer. It'll come to me. He has a very famous last name too. Bernstein. He's one of the Bernsteins. There's a Peter and something other Bernstein, and one of them is his father is a famous composer, Elmer Bernstein, and the other is not. But those are great scores. The Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah, those are quintessential 80s orchestra horror scores. Leonard Bernstein. No, that was the Charles Bernstein. There you go. Charles Bernstein. Yeah, he's the president of. I see him a lot at the functions we have for the Society of Composers and Lyricists. Yeah, those were great scores. Just like Christopher Young, he always Christopher Young always did something very innovative, and I've always secretly gone out to see his uh, his movies, and I know him. We went to school together, and we hang out together from time to time. And every time I point out what I like about his music, he's so humble, and he just like lowers his head and he says, "Oh gosh, oh shucks." And we studied music from the same uh, composition teacher who was such a taskmaster, just such a he was a tough cookie. He was a tough guy. Boy, he was tough. His name was Henry Lazaroff. He passed away about a few years ago. Okay, Dawn. Jocelyn Pook was the composer for Eyes Wide Shut. Well, I got to check that out. She's also awesome. I got to check that out. Jocelyn Pook. Is that the correct spelling of her name? I got to check that out. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick. He's got great taste in music. He brings some high level of creativity to the table at every turn. She's a concert. Yeah, she writes concert music. I'm just looking at her Wikipedia right now. Yeah, I got to check this out. She's an English composer, pianist, and a violinist. You know what? I think I may have met her. Come to think of it. Yeah, she's kind of like in my generation. So, yeah, thank you, Dawn, for bringing that, for mentioning that. I'm trying to like your comment, Dawn. There you are. I did. Okay, David Bailey. Hey, John, great listening to you and learning a bit more. See you out there at some point. I have to get back to editing. Cool. I'd love to see your whatever it is you're editing. That would be completely awesome. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, Pumpkin Queen. John, do you like the Changeling? It was a great soundtrack too. Well, I haven't seen that movie. Are you guys are familiar with Dead Meat, right? James and Chelsea. And they had me as a guest a while back, and they wanted me to comment on music of other horror scores. And I said, well, it would be fun if you gave me titles of horror movies that I have not seen, and I could just listen to the music and not see the movie, and kind of like we can talk about the music in that respect. And that's what we did, and that was so much fun. We did Candyman. Gosh, we did a ton of stuff that I even forgot what all the titles were, but there was a list of titles. Candyman, I remember specifically, and I like Child's Play scores. Yes, one of the Child's Play scores, wasn't that done by Mark Snow? I used to work with Mark Snow back in the day. You got to watch The Changeling. Okay, I'll write that. Can you send me a message on some other social media, or leave me a message here on YouTube, and I'll make sure I see The Changeling. I might even see it tonight. Facebook streams crashed for me, John. Well, let me see. It looks like it's still going. Is Facebook still happening? How are you doing on Facebook? Can anyone respond on Facebook? Hello, Facebook. According to me, it's still going. It's the timer is still going on, and Instagram is still live. The doodling dork just showed up. Cool. How do you feel about Friday the 13th score? Well, I love Henry Manfredini. He's a great guy, and I love what he created. If I'm not mistaken, that score was done back east. That wasn't done out here. And how do you feel about George Romero and Goblin? I love Goblin. You know what I like about all the Giallo movies, the Italian horror movies, is they combine horror with like Hitchcock, with fantasy. They leave it to the Italians to like put everything together in a nice blend. And what I love about their choice of music and the way they mix the music is like in your face. It's like so loud. I almost want to think back in the day, says, listen, we don't have any sound effects. Let's just crank up the music score. And the music scores are really good. Goblin is, oh, I love that sound. It's so primitive. It's so tight. It's dry. Um, it's driving. It has a little bit of progressive rock influence in it. It's a lot of got, you can hear a bit of Frank Zappa in it, or who knows, maybe Frank Zappa, he got some influence from them. Oh, good. Thank you, Gisby. So Facebook is still up and running. So yeah, I love the Goblin. I love the whole Giallo genre. As a matter of fact, if you listen to my cinematic steampunk, you will hear a bit of the Goblin influence in there. So cinematic steampunk, John Massari, you look it up on Google, and you could probably find it also on my SoundCloud. So that's good. Suspiria is cool. And let me see, did I miss anyone here? You've got to see The Changeling starring George C. Scott. I shall. Have you used unique instruments like didgeridoo for a score? Yeah, I have used didgeridoo for a score. I've used, there's interesting things you can do with a timpani that I like. You get a big timpani and you kind of tune it low, and then you put this very thin metal bowl on it, and you take these light mallet, felt covered mallets, and you do a tremolo, you beat on it, and it makes, all of a sudden, it's kind of like, imagine if you had a big wine glass and you made the sound of the glass vibrating. It's something like that. It's entirely otherworldly. All sorts of stuff. I used all sorts of stuff. I remember we read a memorial at a friend of mine's funeral. It was so sad. She passed away way too early. And we all played music, and I played music from the Story of Jesus Christ. And there was a stringed instrument, an ancient stringed instrument called a camenche. It only has 3 strings, and it's in, I wouldn't say mostly Middle Eastern. I'd say if you go up from Armenia from Armenia and east of Armenia, it's that part of the world that instrument comes from. And it's a very haunting sound, and I love the sound of it. It's so expressive. You can give it the most simplest themes and motifs, and everything just sings. It's like it's an instrument, but it has a human voice quality to it. How do you feel about Friday the 13th score? Oh, we already did that. And Goblin. Hey, nostalgic Nebula. Do you have a favorite part of writing the score or song? The melody, the bass, or ornaments? That's a good question. Things kind of go in stages. Quincy Jones, that's Cody from Nostalgic Nebula. Quincy Jones says that, if you can't boil your idea down into something that you can kind of like sing in your head and sing out loud and be identifiable to someone, communicate let's take like a Henry Mancini theme, like Moon River, la da 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 dee, la dee da 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 dum, la dum. It's like a folk song, and it gets the emotion, the melody comes through. That's where I start, and then everything kind of like builds from there. It becomes like the stalk of a tree, the stalk of a sapling, and then all of a sudden the other branches come off, and then you have the leaves, and then all of a sudden you have this beautiful tree. It all starts from sometimes the most minute idea. Imagine like a sculptor that has a bunch of clay. They'll kind of like put together this wire mesh figure, and to you and I, it won't look like anything, but the sculptor knows that when they start applying their material, it'll start to gain shape. Music's a very similar way. If you can't sweat the details. I think if you worry too much about the details, you get too bogged down in your core idea, your core concept. Just like every every movie that you really love has a great basic story. It has archetypical characters in it. There's real life development, that's engaging. Someone's writing a script. They're not worrying about what kind of CGI program they're going to be using. They're going to be wondering, like, what's a good story? Where am I going to take this story to engage people? Okay, Henry Anderson, you got a question there. What do you think the score of Stranger Things? I love Stranger Things. I just binge watched it with my kids. I find it a bit generic and too modern, and that's just me. Also, sorry if I'm asking too many questions. No, that's quite all right, Henry. Well, here's my opinion about the Stranger Things. I really like it. Um, um, you're right. It has a bit of modern influence, and that's okay. And it does have. There are things that are very quintessentially 80s. And I was listening to the score. I go, well, wait a minute. That's more of a 60s synthesizer approach to composition, which is really cool. They have several. No, I found myself very engaged with the score. I didn't feel that it took me out of the story, and there were things that heard that I thought were just so gorgeous. And what I think the filmmakers have given the two composers a good amount of license to express themselves, because that's what it's all about. Matthew Roberts, do you like Richard Band's scores he's done for Charles Band movies? Of course I do. I like Richard Band. I know him in person. We've eaten meals together, and he has impeccable table manners. And he's a great guy. I love his score. I love his scores that he's done for his brother. I've done one of the band brands, Retro Puppet Master. That was a lot of fun to do. Retro Puppet Master. Retro Puppet Master. But I don't think I'll ever work for Full Moon ever again. That guy with the studio, when I was back out there after the virus, when I get back out there, when the virus blows over, what are we getting dumplings, ramen, and that Louisiana fried chicken, or the hat? You got it, man. I'm all about that. I'm all about the food. Let me see here. Let's go back to Inagram. I'm glad, Dead Alive, you like Goblin 2. Nostalgic Nebula, you like my explanation. Okay, Natalie, what do you think of the new It films? You know what? I only saw the original, the one that was a movie of the week. I didn't answer that one. The score by Benjamin Walsh. Oh yes, he's a really good composer. Benjamin, he's very good. But I have not seen the new It. Probably because I didn't want anything to affect me, just in case we have something going on for Killer Clowns. Because people were thinking of bringing the concept of it, that the clowns will be these terrifying, horrible, bloodthirsty things, where we didn't want anyone missing the point that Clowns is about horror, it's about sci-fi, it's about fun, it's about comedy, jump scares, that sort of thing, and just sometimes corny things that you go, that's corny, kind of thing. Like the two brothers that were obsessed with getting dates, even in the face of death, they were wondering how they can score. It still makes me laugh to this day. There's so many lines by the Terenzi brothers that are funny. Okay, Rose. I used to put pickups on everything and pedals into my synths. Yeah, that is cool. You know what? I want, when I get my piano back, I have a Wurlitzer Spin-It piano that would be perfect to have strung up with pickups. I would love to do that. Gotta go. Take care, Rose. Thank you for those beautiful thoughts. Hope to meet you sometime too. Okay, here we go. Let me go back to YouTube. I'm really so jazzed about YouTube. I don't get much traction on YouTube, and it's like you guys are smoking. What do you think of the score to the original? It's one of my favorite. Okay, what's the original? The original what? Jonathan is that studio guy. Jonathan Padilla is that studio guy. I didn't know that. I didn't know your name was different. The haunting piano melody is fantastic. More circus-like than parts. Oh, It. Yeah, the original It was had a very 70s, 80s type of sound. That's where I remember to it. I'd have to see it again, to be quite honest with you. I'd really have to see it. I love Stephen King stories. Um, there's the story he has that's like a multi-dimensional thing. Uh, hey, Carrie. Yes, yes. Take care. I'm sorry you have to run. Okay, we gotta go back to that one thing here. There was that thought for it. If you have, hmm. Someone asked me a question. A haunting piano. Would you ever change it? Oh, if you could change anything in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, what would you change? Well, I don't know if I would change anything, but I'd love to explore that spaceship. Boy, that spaceship I just love that spaceship. You know, you could they could do a cat and mouse thing in that spaceship. Yeah, half the movie, as far as I'm concerned, could have been in the spaceship, and they finally get out of the spaceship. Hello, John. How are you, my friend? Knights of Horror. Hey, man. Good to see you, Anthony. Okay, let me see. Go back to Facebook, and then we go. As more people can see greatness. Goodbye. Okay, take care, Jose. What about the girls? That's right. That's a good. Who cares about the girls? Get the truck. those those Terenzi brothers, they're just something. Okay. Thanks, Stefan Ars. Let me see. It's back here. The Knights of Horror. Have you watched the new Invisible Man? No, I have to see that. I have to see that. And it's funny, that movie just snuck in just as this virus came out. It was like the last movie people went to the movie theaters to see almost. It was like in that last run of movies that were that got released in theaters. I would really like to see that. And if that's streaming somewhere, that would be righteous. Wait a minute, hold on a second, Robbie. It's hard sometimes listening to film music casually being a composer. Is that a question? Casually? No, not at all. Sometimes I just like to sit back and listen to music in general. Sometimes I just like to listen to it and let the listening experience take its effect on my ears and brain. Knights of Horror, yeah, really good. I feel it's worth the rent. It's on Amazon to rent. Oh, really? Okay, that's cool. I know there's I think MGM is holding off on the next Bond movie until the whole virus thing is over. I don't think that's available on streaming at this point. I really don't. Happy to buy Killer Cons at Facebook. I mean Netflix. Okay, goodbye, Jose. Natalie, great score to the original by Richard Bellis. Yeah, Richard Bellis is a very good composer. He teaches the ASCAP workshops, which are very, very serious. They get they screen composers from all over the world. They bring them out here and they score some movies to score music to scenes of movies that have already been released, which is really cool. The only criticism I have is that those composers walk away, these new composers walk away with their music that's accompanying like $100 million movies. Unfortunately, when they uh, audition for a movie, the directors can sometimes get intimidated because not everyone does $100 million movie. Not everyone does a big blockbuster. Sometimes people are just doing a narrative drama, and they need something simple just to bring things through. I did a movie last year where it had a very 70s feel to it. So I had to get like into a 70s groove. I will do a video on how I created a particular part of that score. What are your thoughts on it? I think we already discussed that. Dr. Sleep. I have to see that. I have to see Dr. Sleep. Yeah, we already 77 all over again. We talked about it. To be quite honest with you, the last time I saw it was when it was a movie of the week way back when. And I haven't seen the new version of it. So I have to I have to school myself in on all of that. So Mary B, they're holding off on Ghostbusters Afterlife until next summer. Yeah. Yeah, next summer. That's probably a good time to bring, because that's a summer movie. I have a special place in my heart for Ghostbusters. The first Ghostbusters came out. I must have seen it 5 or 6 times. I took a okay, you probably don't never heard of this piece of equipment. It's called a Sony Walkman, and it's a cassette recorder that kind of sort of fits in the palm of your hand. And I went to see it 3 or 4 times. I recorded the movie from an audio perspective, and I would listen to the Ghostbusters movie like it was a radio show, and I learned so much. This is like in the early mid 80s. I learned so much on timing and writing music under dialogue and comedy writing. Comedy music scoring writing is very, very difficult. It's very precise, and you have to be really in the spirit of the comedy to make it happen. And Ghostbusters was like the perfect. You want to study a comedy score? That's the way. That is just definitely the way to do it. Okay, Henry Anderson. Danny Elfman talked about how his main job is trying to get the temp music out of the director's head. Yes. Do you have a similar experience? Yes, I do. I really do. This whole thing of using temp music over, it's not only the director, it's the editor. The editor loves to, editors love to pick something that they can sell their cut on. And they are dead serious, uh, believe that, excuse me, I'm starting up Instagram again. Hello. I don't know if I live on Instagram. I guess I'm going live. All right. So where were we? So the editor, here's what happens. The editors take a piece of music that they like, that they feel really works with the movie, and they'll put it in, and everyone, as they're reviewing the movie and the cut, they start falling in love with this piece of temp music. So it gets to the point where they go, well, we really like the way this works. If anything else is in here, we feel that the movie won't work. And the most successful movies that I have worked with had no temp track whatsoever. The editor, like for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the editor for Killer Clowns from Outer Space just edited the movie. That was Chris Roth. He edited the movie to its subject. In other words, he kept it moving like a stage play. You know what I mean? It had its own internal clock. It had the clock of the story. So if the editor can establish a pacing with the story, as if you're reading a book, when you're reading a book, you could be playing music in the background, but the book isn't giving you any music score to pace you out. It's the story that paces you out. And I love it when editors say, I don't like using temp music because I find myself editing to the beats of the music, and I don't want to do that. I want to edit to the beats of the story. So that's my feeling. I totally agree with Danny Elfman, because you can't have original music if you're copying someone else's score, And here's the biggest insult. One time, there was a project I was working with that was temp track with my music, and I had to copy my own music, and they said I didn't sound close enough. Can you imagine that? If I want to see a great horror sci-fi movie, watch, what is that? Watch Event Horizon. Wait a minute. Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill. I think I've seen that. I'm not sure. Event Horizon. Yes, people have talked about that one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Pumpkin Queen. So you know about Walkmans. Thank you. And I don't believe that number that you put in front of your name. So let's see here. Something's going wrong with my Instagram. Why is Instagram acting so funny? Here we go. Let's try this again. Up here. Oops, your story. Oh my God, your story. Not there. I want to go to live. Bingo. Boom. Checking connection. You're now live. We're back. Instagram. I'm so sorry. We just talked about temp music that I think the editors, I sometimes work with picture editors that can edit the story, the pace of the story into the film instead of picking a piece of music to edit to the beats of the music. And then basically when that practice, that keeps continuing, music becomes very homogenized. It doesn't become original at all. You know, some of my favorite scores, my favorite movies, there was no temp music, you know. Okay, so I think I lost Facebook. Is Facebook still there? I think they gave up on me. Yeah, Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Hi, Facebook. I guess they can't take it anymore. So we're still live on Instagram and YouTube. Okay, Robbie says if you want to say okay, what else? Any other questions here? I had a Walkman. John, have you seen The Haunting of Hill House? No, I haven't, but I have seen The Haunting, a 1963 movie, which scared me so much. Hey, SoCal Shaolin, how you doing, man? It's so good to have you here. You've been talking about all kinds of cool stuff. If you have any questions, just chime in. I'll give you a priority. But we were back to the so in 1963, Robert Weiss, who directed the first Star Trek film in 1979, 1980, and he also directed West Side Story, directed a horror movie, and he did such an incredible job. As a little kid, it kept me up all night. It was the first time I had never fallen asleep, and my eyes were just like open. I was waiting for sunlight to come. That movie terrified me so much. About to go on a walk. Okay, Henry, you're very welcome. Thanks for visiting. So, Mr. Livick, I'm 25. I know about Walkmans. I think you even had one. You know, Walkmans are really cool. I know guys are using them in their music to help process, um, do audio processing of their music, which is really cool because you can actually take the tape as it's playing in the Walkman. You can take it out with a pencil and you can start altering the pitch and the sound and the speed, which is really cool. Going to grab dinner, Robbie. Cool. Take care. Thank you for spending time with us. God bless. Okay, so what do we got here? What was your favorite scene in The Shining? My favorite scene in The Shining is this. See, I can go right to it. Boom. Is when he's apparently he's at the typewriter typing and she comes in to make him sandwiches and he gets so pissed in a scary way, like really scary, frighteningly pissed. And that was the first one. And then one time she goes to his writing room when he's not there and she realizes he's just typing this one phrase meticulously over and over again, and she realizes, oh my gosh, what has possessed him? What's become of him? That scene, right? I got goosepimples just thinking about that scene. It's so terrifying. Okay, so Natalie McFly, have you ever worked with David Shire? No, I met him once. The Return of Oz is a beautiful score. It was a scary Disney movie for me as a child. Yeah, they did some experimenting with that film, which was really cool. It was very it had a steampunk thing going on with it also that I really like. So Magellan's Valeria 805. What is your favorite scene from Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Oh, anything to do with the spaceship is my favorite scene. And at the very beginning, when there's two scenes where the farmer and then the two kids come across this beautiful, seemingly harmless, beautiful vision of a circus tent, and then we realize how dastardly it is. Okay, so we go back to YouTube. My favorite is the bar scene. Okay. Oh, the bar scene. And is there a bar scene in Killer Clowns? Huh. Which one? You mean the scene with the bikers when they're all drinking beer. Um, Another door. The farmer is a highlight of the Killer Clown. Yeah, he's a great character actor. That actor has been in tons and tons of movies. He was a contract character for many films for many years, as was John Vernon. I mean, he was a mainstay bad guy in so many films. No, in The Shining. Oh, the bar scene in The Shining? Yeah. Bryson. That was pretty damn terrifying. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, when he finally goes, "Here's Johnny." Yeah, someone that, you wonder what I would like to hear the comments of psychoanalysis of that character from a professional on what that someone some psychotherapist or someone that it knows about mental and emotional instabilities, have them analyze The Shining step by step. Okay, Greg Brenneman, since we are talking score, thoughts on the Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2? No, I don't have any thoughts on it. I love the first Living Dead. Hey, Els, you've returned. My goodness, what are you doing up at this hour? It must be like 2 a.m. for you. Els Knight is a young up-and-coming filmmaker. He's been doing some animation, stop motion, claymation stuff. It's really awesome. Okay, who would win a battle between Killer Clowns and Mars Attacks? That's a very good question, because their technologies are somewhat similar. I think they're multi-dimensional beings. So boy, that would be a bloodbath, or a green bloodbath. That was by Exceltos. I can't pronounce your name. Esqueletos. There you go. Esqueletos. Yeah, I think it would be a bloodbath. Gosh, because they're both absolutely dastardly, underhanded, and bloodthirsty. Yeah, they're pretty scary. The conversation Jack has with the imaginary bartender. Oh yeah, let me tell you something. You know what's really scary? It's not that scene. It's people that I have seen in person having conversations with imaginary people that are not on their medication. The way Jack Nicholson played the facial expressions in the scene was completely bone chilling and impeccable. Yeah, you can't beat that. Yeah, it's just it's one of those movies that I had to be awake for several hours before I went to sleep. I would like to see a Killer Clowns versus Predator movie myself. That would be totally great. Let me see. But they're two different camps. One's 20th Century Fox and one's MGM. So there might be issues there. But I tell you what, I would love to see Killer Clowns and Ghostbusters. The Ghostbuster universe somehow worked into Killer Clowns. That would be funny. That would be a lot of fun. Hello, Magellan. That's Valeria. Okay. Yes, Natalie's Shelley Duvall was absolutely. That was one. Gosh. See that? I think all that talent comes from being a stage actress. All those people came from a stage and a classical background. Especially Shelley Duvall. And Shelley Duvall was also a filmmaker. She did a series of children's programming after that I worked on with some friends of mine. I wasn't the main composer. I just helped out with the production of the score. Have you seen Jim Carrey create the typewriter scene from The Shining? It's so spot on. Yeah. No, I haven't. If you can send me a link to that somehow, Pumpkin Queen, I would really dig seeing that. And right, Mr. Vic, Killer Clowns have a more versatile arsenal. They would totally win. Yeah, they would. I think that they're even more transdimensional. Aliens versus Killer Clowns. Yeah, can you imagine like a xenomorph getting caught inside I don't think the xenomorph would last very long. I don't think the xenomorph would know to get the nose of the Killer Clowns. I have two news. Okay, here we go. L's night. When I was okay, this is L's night. When I was a kid, Killer Clown scared the crap out of me. There was a trailer on the TV channel for a TV channel, and the scene I most remember was the pie scene. Really, the pie scene scared you. That's interesting. I guess because it it melted that poor guy to pieces. Then years later, look where I am now. It's a part of your life. It's a part of your psyche. It helped you grow into a fine young man. That your parents, I'm sure, are very proud of you. If Killer Clowns was made today, who would you cast? Oh my goodness, you're asking the wrong person. SoFlo Explo. Gosh, you're asking the wrong person about that, because my level of expertise is in post-production. And I always tell directors and producers when they tell me, what do you think of the movie? What do you see? Do you have any comments? I says, listen, I can direct any film as long as it's already shot, then I can pick it apart. But making a film from scratch, I don't know if I could do that. I would like to one day. There's a documentary that I worked on. I would love to flesh out the story of the individual that we did a documentary on into an actual live action story, because he's actually, talk about a superhero, real life superhero, man. Some people, there are some incredible people that have walked this earth that are very rugged individuals, and I've been very blessed to meet some of them. And so SoCal Shaolin across. Okay, awesome scores can make a horror movie even better. Do you think a great score can make a bad horror movie better or more watchable? Well, I think more watchable. I mean, a bad story is a bad story. I mean, it goes down to the story. I'm not going to name titles, but there are horror movies I've turned down because they just didn't have their story right. And no matter what I would do to it, it's not going to help out the story. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are some things I've done that people have difficulty watching, but the story had a pacing to it. It had a structure to it, and you can at least follow it. So I would say that, yeah, score can make it possibly can make it more bearable. Maybe that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so we got, let's see here. Okay. Esqueletos says, I remember seeing Shelley in those fairy tale shorts. Yeah, those were really good. She produced all of those. Okay, back to Els. That is so funny. You've got to do a quickie little FaceTime video with yourself talking about that. Look where I am now. Well, I think you're in a good place. What do you think? Okay, Mary B, I can see Bruce Campbell as in the Killer Clowns movie. Yeah, that's possible. SoFlo Explo as a huge. Oh, hold on, a bunch of people all of a sudden came in. As a huge Killer Clowns fan, I don't honestly think Killer Clowns from Outer Space would be as popular as it is today without your amazing soundtrack. Well, that's really flattering. That's really flattering, and I like the way you wrote it, just the way we rehearsed it, and I will send you your check in the mail. Bryson, I'm a percussionist, and I really admire your work. Jonathan killed the solo. No shit. He just totally shredded on that. I would love to work with you. Do you hold auditions for your live ensembles? Sure, man. Send me a link to your work. Sure, maybe we'll do something. Who knows? Maybe you might get a call sooner than later. We'll see. You know what I would love to do is, like, some percussionists, I would just like, I don't want to write the parts out and go, here's a piece of music. Feed me back some tracks, and I'll figure it out. You'll do your groove, and then I'll adjust it to suit my taste, and I'm sure it'll be incredible. Love Bruce Campbell. It's true. Imagine an Evil Dead and Killer Clown crossover. Yeah, I mean, that could happen in the fan world. No one's stopping you. Let me see here. There's a ton of other. Okay, wait a minute. My sister bought the Blu-ray of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and we saw your interview, and you looked very nice. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I got called the last minute, but when you saw that video, I had just finished an all-nighter recording session, and I came home. I was about to go to sleep, and the Kyoto brother says, "John, I don't know if you're available, but we have the people from MGM. They're doing interviews. You want to talk about the music?" And I said, "Let me jump in the shower. I'll be right over." And I brought my entire score with me, and I bought whatever I could, and I introduced myself to the director, and she says, "Okay, we're interviewing him first." And and I'm so glad they did, because after that interview, I barely made it home into bed to fall asleep. What's the documentary? Curious. Well, the documentary, this is Natalie McFly's asking this question. The documentary is called Crows of the Desert. And it's about a man. The documentary is based on his memoirs that he wrote probably a few years before he passed away. And his family discovered something about his past they had never, ever imagined. And he kind of like listed in timeline format, like I did this, then I did that, and then I did this. So during World War I, he was enlisted in the Turkish army, and I'm gonna try to condense everything for you. He was in the Turkish army, and one day he came back to his barracks, and all of his friends were gone. And then he found out very quickly that his friends that were enlisted in the army were executed by the Turkish army because they were all Armenian. So this one young, able-bodied, strong guy ran away, was able to get himself far away from himself being killed, and he basically escaped into the desert. And when you think about it, he had a choice to make. He could have just waited everything out and just watched out for his own skin, but he could not stand to see what was going on. So he organized a group of his friends, kind of like Rambo commandos, and went in on all of the marches. Basically, what happened is that men were encouraged to join the army, all men, execute all the men, then take all the women and children, march them out into the desert. That's how you get rid of a population of people from your country. That's how they did it. And so he got his friends together, and they couldn't save everyone, but they saved the children. They were able to take the children out of the desert and get them adopted into Saudi Arabian homes. And he got the support of the king of Saudi Arabia at the time. He was given some document that he had the document in his memoirs. It's made of cloth. It was something he can show to someone. He basically he'll say, "I need this train by edict of the king. I need this train to move 100 people from here to there. You have to give or like I need this many horses, this many camels, I need this many rifles, this many rounds of ammunition." They had to give it to him for free, and he used all those resources to save children. And his family never knew about this. He never received as much as a pin for his accomplishments and for the wonderful deeds he's done. So that would be a great movie. It would be, if you ever saw a great movie called The Man in the Gray Flannel Suit. It's about a man who served in World War II, and you think he's a normal everyday guy in a gray flannel suit, but he has a very tumultuous past in the service during the war. And so you see the movie is told in flashbacks, and the flashbacks start gaining on him into his present life. It's very effective script, and that would be a good way to tell his story. So I hope that didn't bore you to death, Natalie. That's the story. You can hear the score to that movie on my SoundCloud. It's called Crows of the Desert. Let me see here. What's this here? So the guy with the studio. Thanks, Bryson. Consider showing some love for my videos. John's super fun to work with and has been an amazing friend to me. Well, John Padilla, that the guy with the studio, you are too. It's always fun to work with. Very creative, awesome people. Let me see here. Crystal Killer 13. Your Killer Clown score was freaking awesome. Thank you. I listen to it all the time at work to pass the day. Well, I'm glad it gets you by your day. I'm glad you find joy in it. Hello, there she is. Hi, Ivotrice, the horror movies and beyond queen. Okay, I posted some pictures of killer clowns from outer space. Hope you like them. Are those ones that you drew? I think I saw that collection. That's Magellan's Valerie 805. Yeah, I think I saw them. Send them to me again, or send me the link again. I'd like to see them. Okay. It versus Rudy. Well, Rudy would win. I'm sorry. Rudy's just too cool and too pure of heart not to win. Pennywise versus Shorty would be better. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, Craven Fire has a long question. Let me see. I have to go back to. Okay, wait a minute. Got some more comments here on Facebook. Okay, L's Knight, my pal in Manchester, England, says, I've been thinking about making a video of myself and then a couple of years later, making a video of me talking about myself. Hey, that is a brilliant idea. I'm going to give that a big thumbs up. That is a really, really cool idea. But just make sure you don't erase anything that you think might be embarrassing, because like what you might think is embarrassing at age, like let's say 12 or 14, when you're 24, you may find it charming. So make sure you make a pact with yourself that you're not going to erase anything. Okay, let me go to, let me see. We saw a screening of Crows. Oh yeah, Jonathan Padilla, that studio guy, that guy with the studio. He was there. He helped me work on that score. Jonathan Padilla did. Okay. Okay. Cave Fire. You all should make a new Killer Clowns, new script, new soundtrack, and show it to Bloomhouse. Well, that's certainly possible. You'll consider making a high budget and it will make a ton of money. Yeah, well, you know what? Something's going to happen with Killer Clowns. I just can't tell you definitively what it is yet. My phone is about to die. Thank you, John, for answering our questions, and hope to meet you very soon. I do too. 77 all over again. I don't know what that means, but that's a cool Instagram title. Yeah, Natalie. Yeah, that Cruise of the Desert is quite an inspiring film. Someone that's that guy as a young man, he was probably like 20 or 21. He had a calling to do good, and he answered that calling. And some people, they run away from a calling like that. It was a call to adventure. Okay. Just want to say I love the music. Okay, this is Horror Nina 66. I love the music you create and listen to your interview with Dead Meat. Oh yeah, the Dead Meat people. That James and Chelsea, they are just plain old good people. Thank God there's people like them in the world. You listen to them at work, in high school marching band. I begged so hard to do a Killer Clowns halftime show. That would be a fun halftime show. Do a Killer Clowns. But then at the end, would everyone disappear? They would be eaten alive. Okay. Oh, Monster Under your Bed Clothing. Hi, how you doing? Okay, let's go back to Facebook. We're coming up on let me see, we've been doing this for 2.5 hours, and you guys are, this is good practice for me. And, I want to be able to do this often, but you guys are so patient. The only thing I have in my channel is my recording of my senior year halftime show that I played center snare. Well, I want to see it anyways, Bryson. I want to see it. I don't care. If you got a means to record yourself playing, we'll work something out. Would you be open to doing an interview on my YouTube sometime in the future? Of course. Of course, slow flow. So flow explode. Wait a minute. Didn't I do one with you already? I'm getting confused with someone else because there's someone else I know that has the word expo, exploration actually. But I just did an interview that's on Facebook. You can find it. Really good podcast. Let me see it. Look, I got it on Twitter. I can find it easier on Twitter. Okay. It is. Okay, I'm gonna give a plug to a really cool YouTuber and blogger. It is here it is. It's um keep exploring podcast, and that's SoCal Exploration. Uh so so Flow, I guess, is South Florida. Anyways, SoCal Exploration. He's really cool. That was a really fun interview he did. Okay, Monster Under Your Bed Clothing. Heck, okay. Heck yes, did my first IG live podcast last night. It's exciting. Yeah, maybe we could do maybe potentially we can do one. I don't know. I know nothing about fashion, and perhaps that could be the subject of the podcast is you can teach me something about fashion. Because I just go with black t-shirts. And, I keep it simple. And by the way, speaking of fashion, this is a custom cap that my daughter made with this music note. It's the most awesomest thing in the world. I just love wearing it. I never thought I would wear caps, but after she made this for me, she does some very ornate embroidering. This is super simple. It's just a music note, but she does, like from not even from she does it all by feel and by sight. She just if she was drawing a butterfly, she would embroider a butterfly. It's really incredible. Yeah, you think you can't go think Pumpkin Queen, Paula? You can't go wrong with a black t-shirt. Yeah, just, basic black, you know. And well, guys, we've been here for an hour and a half. Is there anything else you would like to talk about? Just as I say that, Grisby Gomez. Hi, John. It's Peter. Hey, Peter. Peter did a pretty good guitar cover of Killer Clowns. I really liked his take on it. Do you have any unusual? Okay, I have a call coming in and I have to decline it. Hello. Hey, yeah. Would you mind calling Amy because I'm on the air. Okay. Well, I'm in the middle of a broadcast. Let me call her and remind her to call you right back. Yeah, I'm gonna go downstairs and talk to her right now. Yeah, I'm gonna tell her she's gonna call you in a few seconds. Okay. Bye. Sorry for that interruption, guys. I'll be right back. Please be careful. Please be patient. Sweetheart. Okay. I'm back. So sorry about that. Okay, there should be a second sequel to Killer Clowns. Yeah, that's what everyone. That's the consensus, Joey. Okay, Anna Drella. We need more action figures. Well, I talked about that earlier. Yeah, I hear what you're talking about, the iconic brand. If any of you are industrious enough to come up with your own designs, it's just a matter of presenting those designs to the um, intellectual property owners and getting their approval and finding a manufacturer and distributing it. It's just, you just got to put the work in. There's no one stopping you from doing it. I mean, anything is possible. But you're right about the action figures, the toys. There's a guy that's making me a model of the Killer Clown spaceship. How cool would it be to have a Killer Clown spaceship that opens up and you have all your little Killer Clown figures in it? Wouldn't that be cool? That would be so awesome. Yeah. Killer Clowns still have a lot to offer the world. You're absolutely right. Hey, anyone out there, put the shout out to you. You know what you should do? Help support Killer Clowns. Keep watching it on Netflix. Keep repeating it over, even though you're not going to be watching it, or have it play in the background, because the more people that play it, the more the word gets out how popular it is. And we can grow this brand of Killer Clowns even stronger than it is. That's what I've been trying to do with the music. So, okay, Grisby, Peter, do you have any? This is Peter. Do you have any unused finished music that you wish to apply to something? Oh, yes. Even if you wish could apply it to a thought or a scene in vision. Well, I always, I have my favorite cousin in Italy is um, he's a journalist, and he says a professional writes something every day. And that's what I kind of do. I come up with little musical ideas every day, and they always find their way into some project that I'm working on. I'm working on a project now that I had made little notes a couple of years ago, and I looked at those things I wrote a couple of years ago, and I said, "Hey, this is going to work perfect," and I would develop them in the new project. Okay, Ellis Knight. Hey, John, do you know what Discord is? Do you know what Discord it is? So you should create a server for fans, and you could have a chat for questions. Hey, you know what? Let's set something up like that. Maybe you can help me look into that. That sounds great. Because I was thinking of doing all this on Zoom. And so where I can actually hear people talk, and we would have like a number of guests, maybe like there'd be like maybe a total of 10 or 15 people, and we would all take turns talking and all that stuff, like a kind of like a campfire talk. So okay. And Mary B, you're going to play it nonstop. Thank you. Okay, so Flow Expo, gotta go, but it was fun. Cool. Good night for you too. Let me see what we got here going on. Something about 35 millimeter. I saw the Killer Clowns from Outer Space in 35. Oh, isn't it great watching it in 35 millimeter? It's really interesting, because here's what's interesting about 35 millimeter. You do not get on streaming. You do not get this on streaming. When you play a movie in a darkened theater and it's projected, that those images are flickering at you at 24 frames a second. As a matter of fact, there was a time in movie history that films were called flicker shows because it would flicker. And I believe there was a time where the frame rate, they were figuring out what's the frame rate going to be. There was one time, I think it was as low as 12 frames a second. And then it jumped up to 16, and they found out 24 is the perfect amount of images per second that wouldn't use up too much film stock. Now, there are some films that they've made that play 30, sometimes 60, and sometimes 120 frames a second. These special cameras, you get this very vibrant look to it. The man that did the guy that did the special effects for 2001 Space Odyssey, his name escapes my memory at the moment, but he came up with a system called Show Scan, and it would be, I think, 120 frames a second, something like that, or maybe 60 frames a second. And when you saw that in the movie theater, it was like, wow, you felt that you can just jump right into the screen. That's how vivid it was. But 24 frames a second is good. And the movies that you see in a movie theater with a projector They have a different impression on you than if you see it streaming or if you watch it on your, your device, you know? Okay, see. Need to get my Fatso cosplay back. Let me see. How long do you guys work? How long did I work in Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Me, I worked a total of 8 weeks on it. That's not counting the meetings beforehand and the audition process. So I'd say it was about 3 months total. Uh, the Killer Clowns design is much better in horror terms than Pennywise design from the 90s. That's interesting. Yeah, I love the faces of all the clowns are just so expressive. I'd love to see Killer Clowns on the big screen. I need this to happen. Well, from time to time, there are screenings. There's that um, Quentin Tarantino's movie theater, the Beverly Cinema. Call them up, ask them to screen it, and we'll all, when this virus thing blows away, we'll all go to the movie theater and watch it together. That sounds like that'd be a great watch party. How cool would that be to be at Quentin Tarantino's movie theater watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space? That would be awesome. Okay, Kevin P. West, Twitch would be great too. Twitch, yeah, we should do that. You guys want to help me set something up maybe in a couple of months or something? That would be cool. Okay, let me see anything else on. Okay. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. It'd be kind of like a mini version of Halloween Horror Nights. Who knows? Maybe by the time this thing blows over, it might be Halloween. I happen to think it's going to be I don't think we're going to be able to really get out and about until February of next year to be 100% safe. It takes a while for these things to die away. I mean, I know people that work in medical research. They say that viruses are crazy. Viruses are crazy, incredibly dastardly organisms. Let's see here. Can you explain the audition process for a film composer? How are you considered initially? Well, that's a very good question. Well, okay, I'm not going to mince words here. The media business is a very, very competitive business. And you have to understand sometimes you're working up against people. Let's take it in another. Let's take it into another industry. Let's say you're a book distributor and you want to distribute a certain number of books, right? And you have everything ready to go to distribute, let's say 1 million books at a time with no problem, without batting an eye. And you have all your distributors, you have your customers, you have everything. But then you're going up against Amazon that can, if you can distribute 1 million, they can distribute 100 million. See what I'm saying? I mean, there are some people in the music business that are the Jeff Bezos of the music business, and sometimes you're competing against them. They may have a brand name, like a person's name. However, they have several people that work under them, like hundreds of people, maybe even more than hundreds of people. I know this because I've worked for some of these people. I've worked for some of these brands before. So sometimes you have to find yourself that sweet spot where you can get a project that's small enough, but yet it's big enough that when you audition for it, you're going to get recognized. You're going to be part of that brand, part of that little special film, and grow with the director. But let me tell you something, not all directors use the same cinematographer. Not all directors and producers use the same editor. Not all producers and directors use the same cinematographer. I think I said that before. Or composer, or lighting director, or sound person, or stunt crew. They don't always use the Martin Scorsese's that have a particular troupe of people that they work with. Same thing with Steven Spielberg and with Tim Burton. He has his troupe of people he works with. That is the exception, not the rule. most directors and producers want to get a product out and have it make lots of money. And whatever team they can get to make it happen, they'll do it. I've seen some wonderful director composer relationships go sour really quick when big money comes into play. So the best way to audition is you're not going to get paid, and leave yourself enough time to do something really good that's basically the finished product. I recently, from October, the beginning of October to the middle of January, auditioned on a project. I worked on it for 3 months, every day, many hours. I basically did, I would say, at least 15 to 20 minutes of music that I loved, that was perfect, that was produced, full on production. And I didn't get the job. And that's just the way it works. I got a thank you. They loved what I did and everything. However, there were many people making decisions, and they went with a big brand name that didn't even audition. They have no idea. And so that's just the way it is. You just have to roll with the punches. I use the baseball analogy often. Sometimes there's two very highly paid baseball teams that will play against each other. Well, one has to lose and one has to win. There's no question about it. There's a pitcher. There may be a pitcher that is the best baseball pitcher in the world, and there could be the worst batter in the world, but that batter, it could be his best day in his entire career, and he could hit that ball out of the park. So you have to the tolerance of excellence is very shrewd. So I hope that answered your question there. I like John Carpenter. I think of John Carpenter pretty attached to his composer. Yeah, he is, because John Carpenter kind of sort of writes his own music, and I forgot the name he works with. The guy who he works with. You're gonna have to tell me the name of the guy that works with. I've met him a few times. I've never had a conversation with him, but I know that John Carpenter, Alan Halsworth. Yeah, he works with him all the time. Hi, Joe Walsh. Peter B. West. I have said this before, but I want to thank you, John, for the continued support of the Killer Clowns art drone by us artists. Oh yeah, man. I love all the art you guys create. It's just so fascinating that you're never exhausted with the subject of Killer Clowns. They can be interpreted in so many different ways. Okay, a hooligan. Fact, I listen to Killer Clowns while I work on Killer Clowns projects. There you go. And if you check out a hooligan on Instagram, he's got some awesome artwork he does. My sister's now with us, so now I can't use swear words. I have to be very nice. I have to use proper diction and everything because my sister's watching. She's very critical of me. I'm just kidding. I love my sister, Lori. Hi, love. Anyways, so back to a hooligan. Check out his Instagram. He's got incredible art that he does. He does a lot of 3D printing and model making, and it's superb. I have one of his pieces. He was so wonderful. I think we traded, and he gave me a beautiful popcorn gun. No, it's not popcorn gun. It's the cotton candy gun. The multicolored one that spins. It's really awesome. So what do we got here? We've got back to YouTube. Henry. Okay, Henry. The thing, interestingly, is the only movie John Carpenter didn't compose himself. Apparently, Universal hired the composer before he could get a chance to say otherwise. What was that? Was it The Thing? Because I don't know if John Carpenter did much. He did some music in The Thing. That was Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone is interesting the way he works. They hire him for a movie, and then you don't hear from him for about a month and a half. He delivers a tape with his music, tells you where to put it. He doesn't mess with people's opinions about his music. The Fog was, you know what? Come to think of it, The Fog was an interesting soundtrack. Fog was a very interesting movie. in itself, because you think something so harmless as the fog coming in isn't going to be so terrifying. Okay, my sister asked me, what was your favorite part of Killer Clown's music? Oh, let me see. The whole thing, the everything about it, the fact that I just knew that people would grow to love it. Okay, Henry said something on YouTube that I probably missed. I haven't seen a 35 millimeter film since I was 5, and no theaters in my state play it anymore. Yeah, it's really hard to find it. A place that will project film, because you have to have a technician that really there's a if I'm not mistaken, there's a very powerful union that controls the guild of technicians. I think it's IATSE. The technicians um, that project film in movie theaters, because it's very standardized, and it's not as simple as you may think. They're big, heavy machines. They generate a lot of heat. You have to synchronize. The film just doesn't go in one reel. There's like sometimes anywhere between 4 to 10 reels for a movie, depending on how long it is. And to play them synchronized in such a way where it's flawless, there's a technique that is passed down that I honestly don't know anything about. All I know is just very important. I mean, nowadays when we score movies, we don't have a projector playing the movie theater. It's a QuickTime running off of the Pro Tools session that's running in exact sync. I remember when we had a projectionist upstairs the recording engineer would have to tell the projectionist to go back to a certain spot so that they can punch in the music. Hey, Sam Funk. I got a lot of hearts on Instagram. I hope that answers your question, Lori. What director would you like to work with in the future? Oh my goodness, Richard Elfman, Danny Elfman's brother. But Richard Elfman always works with his brother Danny. Richard is a brilliant man. He's so creative and he's so funny. He's a Renaissance man of sorts. Magellan Valerie 805. Thanks for all the questions you answered, Marie John. Thank you. Stay safe at home. Oh, thank you very much. See, A Hooligan, have you ever been inspired spontaneously that you had to rush and write notes down? Yes, I do. You know what I do? I think of it in my head, and if I don't have anything to write down, I turn on the recording feature on my iPhone app, and I just whistle or sing into it. Or if I ever come across something that sounds really interesting, like some mechanical noise or something, I just hit that record button, and it's amazing. The resolution is pretty good, and the new iPhones record in stereo. I remember I was visiting my friend at Chapman University here by Disneyland, and there was this trash can in a hallway. I started playing. I sampled it. I would do one hit at a time, and then I played some kind of groove that I made into a loop. It was just so thunderous and big. It was just basically, those trash cans, they have slots at the side, and then there's a plastic dome on it, and no one was there, to interfere or disrupt. So I put the iPhone like 5-6 feet away and just started jamming. It was so much fun. And I split up the loop and used it I think I used it in my documentary about Crows of the Desert. It was the first place I used it. And then I used it in my Western. You probably already delved into this. Sorry, but how did you get involved with Killer Clowns? Well, no, I didn't talk about it at all. Did they approach you first? No, they did not approach me. What I was referred to them. There was a guy that was my roommate who introduced me to someone who was working on a movie trailer, and his name is Eric, and Eric knows the Kyoto brothers. And about a year after I did Eric's movie trailer, he said, I have some friends, they're working on an odd movie. You may not like it. It sounds too bizarre, maybe beneath you. I said, well, try me. He says, well, it's a science fiction. I go, that's good. And he's, well, it's kind of horror also. Well, that's good. And it's kind of a goofy comedy. And I go, all right, you've just hit the trifecta. I've got to do it. And so I called the Kyoto brothers and I said, I'm friends of Eric. I understand you need a composer. Oh, no, it's the other way around. Steve Kyoto called me and he says, hey, my friend Eric's, I understand that you're a composer, a very good composer. And I go, yeah, well, that's the rumor. And so we hit it off really well. And he says, we're going to have an audition at very soon. We're going to have a meeting and a screening of the film. You want to come? It's going to be next, whatever the next day was. And we went to Warner Brothers Studio. And there's about 150 people, maybe 100, maybe 75 people in a screening room. And we saw this movie and the music director said there's no temp music at all, which is really good. And everyone left and picked a scene. And I picked a particular scene that was kind of like the keystone of the whole movie. I don't think anyone else did music to that scene. And I think because I picked that scene and it worked really well and it resonated with them, I got the job. It was kind of like a blind test, a blind audition. Okay, Dead Alive, Bruner. There's a drive-in in Pennsylvania. I've heard about that. That shows nothing but 35 millimeter films. That has to be the coolest thing in the world. You know what's the funnest thing is to watch a drive-in theater while it's raining. I think I saw Planet of the Apes when it was raining once. 714 Slicks, you still alive? Yeah, I'm holding up. L's Trap, which is still my friend in Manchester, England. He says my brother worked at old style movie theater, and he was the projectionist. That must have been awesome. Yes, Shorty is the best. Okay, I have to go over here. Someone asked me a very cool question. A great underrated movie and score is Crawl. Okay, this is Kevin P. West on Facebook. You're absolutely right. I actually went to school for a time with Jamie Horner at UCLA. I think he was doing his master's and he was teaching, I think he was teaching some class or something. And I got to know him is when he started doing student films. And I remember a few years later, I went back to I won the Frank Sinatra Award at UCLA. And there was a big concert. And shortly after that, I ran into Jamie Horner. I said, Jamie, I really like your films. And Jamie has this, sometimes he puts on an attitude and he says, you do, which one? I've done several. I go, I don't know, whatever the last one was. I thought it was good. But it's really sad. Jamie is no longer with us. And he had a hobby of flying high performance propeller planes, and he crashed. And it's like really sad. I mean, he had two daughters. When I heard that he had died, I thought, oh my goodness, there are two girls that don't have their dad anymore. It's really sad. Okay, hold on a second. Someone here, how do you create music to sound like a different decade without just copying the music? Well, that's a good question. You just get into you listen to that music a lot and you just basically do your interpretation of it. You immerse yourself in that style of music, and you might get it really close. For instance, like I had to do an album of 1920s dance music, and I must have listened to like hours and hours of Bix Beiderbecke and gosh, some of the other bands of the day, Duke Ellington, and really get into that groove of music so much that you start writing music like that music. It's hard to explain. You have to immerse yourself in that music, and it's a bit of a discipline. But it's not like I wake up in the morning and says, oh, I feel like writing 1920s era dance music for a ballroom. I don't feel myself doing it, but that's the part of the industry that is an industry. They say, can you help us recreate this type of music? And so that's how it's done. It's like anything else. It's done with takes some practice. And what do we got going here on Instagram? Inagram. L's Trap. Have you? By the way, I have to know what ELS_trap means, but you can tell me some other time. Have you ever worked or wanted to work with Muppets? No, but I'm willing to try. Okay, A Hooligan, the Texas Theater in Dallas only shows 35 millimeter, and they play Killer Clowns from Outer Space last year. Awesome! You must have gone to see it? That is really awesome. I would love to. I saw it on film about 2 years ago at the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. That was really awesome. How did you feel when you walked through the Killer Clowns from Outer Space maze at Halloween Horror Nights? I felt like a little kid. It was so cool. It's interesting is that all the mazes, even Orlando and Hollywood, they have that simplistic charm, kind of like I want to say it's like like the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, kind of. It's kind of like an old school circus kind of attraction, which is really cool. And it's a small world. At Disneyland, it's a small world. I mean, when you think of it, that's like a 1940s era amusement park thing for kids, and all the things at Universal Horror Nights, they have that charm to them. You can tell there's a lot of attention put into the construction of things and painting it right and getting the music synchronized properly. That's another thing that I don't think people realize, is that there's a lot going on with the synchronization of the music, and the different areas you go to, the music doesn't, from the previous area you went to, doesn't really interfere with the new place you went to, which is really cool. So I just felt like a little kid. That's what it was. I felt like, I should have had a lollipop and popcorn with me. And Dead Alive Bruner, been at the drive-in when it was raining in the fog. That I don't think you would see much of a movie, but that would be fun. You would hear it. I don't know if you remember, but they had these giant clunky speakers that would hang on. How they never broke the glass, I'll never know. But they had this giant. They look like parts of vacuum cleaners. They're made of metal and they hung on there. Did you go through the other mazes at Horror Nights? I only went through a few. I went to Ghostbusters. That's the one I remember. Natalie, does film scoring always start after the film is complete? Do you ever receive an early filmed version? Well, sometimes people tell me, well, we're shooting a film, we want you to work on it. They give me the script and I kind of breeze over the script, just get the idea. I try not to read it in detail because I'll start to visualize it. I want to see their interpretation. What I really like is what they don't tell me what the movie's about. And they say, we need this kind of feeling. We want to be evocative of this sort of emotion. And I go, okay, and here's the basic story. And those are the ones where I can do something very creative. And when they hear it, they go, oh my goodness, that's going to make sense in our movie. I hope the American Cinematheque will show Killer Clowns at the Egyptian again. That would be awesome. That is Jim Branscombe with Cinematic Void. He puts on the Killer Clowns. He is such a great supporter of actual film music, and he even says they go through the trouble of getting the actual film, and they also did a celebration of silent films with a live orchestra that was absolutely impeccable. I was riveted by the performance. It looks like I'm losing my time on Instagram, and we're running at 7:00. Did I say we were going to go to 8? I don't know if any of you guys are getting tired to hear me babble on. Which maze did you like better, Orlando or Hollywood? Okay, so here it is. Someone asked me, Joey 11123 at on Instagram. Want to know if I liked Orlando or Hollywood? You know what? I liked them both. They were both different, and they were both different in very interesting ways. Um, I love the fact that the Hollywood, they started off with the farmer at the beginning. You felt like you were already in the movie as you're waiting in line. And I loved in Orlando, they had this giant clownzilla that I wish they would give to me. I said, "Come on, can I bid on it? You know, is there? You're not going to throw it away, isn't it going to go in a museum?" And he says, "You don't want to know what we're going to do to it." And it was very sad because I would have loved to take him home. I could just see fitting him on the plane. Uh, it's 8 o'clock where you are, so that means you're. Where are you in Arizona? Is that Henry Anderson? And the last drive-in I went to had a radio station. Yeah, that was really cool. I remember that too. You could synchronize with an FM radio station at one point. That's when they got it down. How do you create music to sound like a different? Okay. Wait a minute. So, Pumpkin, you asked me a question. I have the same question. Mary B, what scene? Okay, I don't. I'm sorry. I lost that thread. I'm sorry. I missed out on that. Well, a lot of viewers on that one. Okay, we're gonna go. Sorry, guys. I have to go back to Instagram because Instagram, I think it just gives you a certain amount of time and it clocks you out. So I have to close it and start again. Okay. I'm gonna go live. Okay. Okay, checking connection. So here we are. Which scene did I send my audition for? Okay, that was the when the two kids, they come into the forest and they go into the spaceship and then they escape and then the clowns descend upon the little town. I figured that encapsulated the whole movie right there. Is your Kickstarter campaign still alive? No, I was never on Kickstarter. I was on Indiegogo, and we did that for 2 different soundtracks, and those are not active anymore. They were very successful. The Kickstarter for the Killer Clown soundtrack kicked off the concert, which kicked off a lot of fan awareness of Killer Clown's brand. And the Wizard of Speed and Time, that was a very successful Indiegogo campaign, and there are still vinyl copies of the Wizard of Speed and Time available. Let me see. I'm going to go back to. Hi, Sixth Sense. I know who you are. Let me see here. I'm sorry, you guys. Somehow Instagram kicks me off after a certain amount of time. It was going good there for a while, and I think my time is getting shorter and shorter. Well, I tell you what, is it okay if we just go for another 15 minutes? And I will dream up some other kind of cool event. I will say one thing. I will show this. There was something that we were cooking up in May, and I was going to have an event at a particular place. Horror Happenings with the Dead Girl. Hi, how you doing? So I was going to have a meeting at a meetup group at this place. I think did this? Oh no, we're still here. So I had a meetup at this place at Funko for the new Killer Clown thing coming out. And even if they weren't going to organize one, I was going to rent the place out like if it was my birthday, invite a bunch of people over and tell them while you're there, buy the Funko Killer Clowns. They might be sold out by the time they get released because I bought my advanced pre-orders months ago. So I'm sure you guys did too. So that's something that we may do virtually again, in May, because I happen to believe that this whole virus thing is not going to blow over. And I realize you do hear the statistics. People say, well, there's this virus, there's that virus. So many people die from all these other things. This is different because this can grow into something massive if not nipped in the bud. And this has happened before in history with the influenza virus during World War I, which is slightly over 100 years ago. So yes, the Funko. I think you can buy the Funkos. I'm sorry to jump from topic to topic. You can still buy the Funko in what do you call it, in online. They don't have them in stores yet. Those things sell out so fast. It's not funny. Yeah, the Killer Clown Pops are incredible. If you've seen the new series, there's 3 characters. Um, I think there was Slim already. There's Shorty, um, um, Rudy, and one other, and I forgot what the other one is. I want to say it was Fatso. It might be. It's definitely not Clownzilla. That would be cool if it was Clownzilla, or maybe it is Clownzilla, and I forgot. Okay. Boy, I tell you what, Facebook is. I think they've lost complete faith in me. There's no one's on Facebook, or everyone fell asleep. Everyone fell asleep on Facebook. Wow, you guys on YouTube, you've been with me for 3 hours and 10 minutes. I didn't think I was gonna make it this long. Did we start? Yeah, we've been oh gosh. You know what? Next time I do this, I have to have like a co-guest, like one of the YouTube influencers. I love to have Ivatrice as my co-host because she's really funny and she's funny to talk to, and she laughs at all my jokes like really hard, like so hard she has to go off camera and contain herself to come back. So hopefully we'll do that. Would it worth be talking to Super 7? Wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me see here. Say it again. Would it be worth talking to Super 7 to see if they'd make a 3.75 recreation figurative killer? Hey, why not? That sounds cool. Yeah, get that going. I'm sitting here writing. I've got the music part covered. That's what I'm good. I'm not good at making t-shirts and stuff. I mean, I have posters, right? I have these things. See these things? Do you know that I have to, when you guys order these special to be signed, do you realize that I have to buy them? I don't have them. I have to buy them from the manufacturer, and then I add a bunch of cool stuff to them, like a wristband, and I had a pin button on my hoodie, and I have like a mini poster. That's artwork by the Kyoto brothers, by the way. And this is a piece of artwork that I did with Steve Kyoto and an artist in Spain. His name is Javier Burgos Gascos. And I'm going to show it to you in a second. Oh, Spiky is one of the other Funko Pops. Thank you, Grizel. So this is you probably can't see it that well. This is a piece of artwork. This is the scene at the Live to Film concert. See that? That's a beautiful piece of artwork that we put together. We took a photograph that someone took of, this is Vine Street, and up here is Hollywood Boulevard, and you can see the Hollywood sign back there. And obviously this is where the concert took place, and look who decided to show up. The Killer Clown spaceship crashed our concert. And this was a wonderful piece to work on. This was designed to be a 12-foot by 11-foot mural that was at the entrance of the theater, and it was just to see it in person. I mean, I couldn't take enough pictures of it. But Steve Kyoto, Javier Burgos Gascos, and myself, we put this together. So that was a lot of fun. There's so many details. It's like a Where's Waldo. I think when we do the Next Generation concert, we're going to do one of these for every city, and we're going to try to put as much detail inside. I was trying to put just about every cool scene from the movie in these windows. And if you look closely, you'll see that there's the Terenzi brothers, like all the different flavors of the ice cream. And obviously there's the ice cream truck stopping out in front because they wouldn't miss an opportunity to make a few bucks and meet girls. There'd be lots of girls there, and we can sell them ice cream. Yeah, that's it. Okay, there you go. There's that. So that was always fun to do. But I got the music covered. There's only so much I could do. I need to concentrate on music. Do you think there's a distinctive you quality in your music, like a specific style? Yes, it is, because like there were certain things I did when I was a kid with music that was really awkward. And Henry Anderson asked that question: Is there a you quality in some of my music? Yes, I sneak in things that I just like to hear. There's certain types of intervals, certain kind of movements of chord sequences or motifs or melodies that I like to do, and I put them in, and luckily no one takes them out. I know many composers don't hear the similarities in their own work. That's true. Yeah, I do. I realize, I go, that's like similar to what I did, but it's slightly different in a different way. You hear it a lot in John Williams. John Williams' music is very heavily influenced by the great masters like William Walton and um, um, Ralph Vaughan Williams, and obviously Mahler, Gustav Holst, even. And now I'm noticing influences of Anton Bruckner in some of John Williams' work. Wow, Mary B, you have some spaghetti there. You're making me hungry. So, anyways, but yeah, I so admire John Williams. He has such great craft, and if you listen to some of John Williams' actually original music, like he's done some piano works that are very original. There was a pianist, Gloria Lum. I actually went to college with her. She commissioned John Williams to write a series of piano pieces. You can find it on you can find it out in the internet. Her name is Gloria Chen, Chen. Gloria Chen. She's a fine concert pianist, and John Williams did some original music compositions for her. And John Williams himself is a very fine pianist, by the way. He's a consummate musician all around. Scary, absolutely scary talented. And I listen to his music with great care, and I always learn something from him, because even he explores his own boundaries. Okay, so we have some more questions here. Danny Elfman apparently can't hear the similarities in his own music. Well, I guess so. I mean, I love the music he did for a drama that I felt that I loved very much. It was Good Will Hunting. Danny Elfman's score to Good Will Hunting was remarkable. I really enjoyed what he did to that. Can you tell I'm a fan of him? Yeah, sure, of course. Jerry Goldsmith is an equally amazing composer. Him and John Williams have a very similar feel, at least. Yeah, they have a Jerry Goldsmith. I think Jerry Goldsmith and John Williams are very different. But I'm so sad that Jerry Goldsmith left way too early. Anyway, so Natalie here, will they possibly release a Killer Klowns artwork for us to buy? Well, someone will. Someone's making T-shirts and artwork and all that sort of stuff. Someone's always making things. I offer. You can get this for free. You can get this for free when you order my CD on eBay. So, and I even have other little goodies that come with it. It's not like I make. It's like I want to give you something just besides the score, and I even write the music theme. I make the the music manuscript. I draw it onto the CD. I think it's on this one here. Let's see. Let me see if I have it on here. Where did I put that darn CD? Here it is. Let me see. Did I do it on this one? This one? No, this one's signed. This one's just plain old signed. But you can look on my Instagram. I take this space right here, and I draw the lines and put the music notes on it. By the way, if there's anyone by the name of Jay out there that would like one of these, I will sell it to you as a discount, because there was a guy named Jay that never picked up his CD, and I can't find him anymore. And I think he managed to buy it again at a different time, and I signed that one. But if anyone out there, if you know someone who's named Jay, there's a CD here for him. Let me see. Pumpkin Queen. There's lots of great Killer Clown stuff on Etsy. Okay. So this is YouTube talking to Instagram. So Natalie, you were asking Paula here on YouTube is through me communicating to you. Etsy has a lot of cool Killer Clown stuff. I have a small version from the show, but thought they might release a larger version. Oh, thank you. That CD looks awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. We put a lot of good work into that. A lot of great people played on that album. Okay, what do we got? Some new comments on Facebook. Okay. It's really a lot of fun hanging out with you guys. I just wish we were all here in person. I've had a couple of live meetups at IKEA at the cafeteria, and it was just so much fun. Maybe we'll do something at a park. We hope they make a resto of the clowns. Bebo, Frank, Joe, Frank, you got to love Frank. I don't know which one Frank is. My goodness. By the way, I never knew the clowns had names. I think the fans, I can tell you for sure, the script had this clown, the tall clown, the fat clown, but they didn't have names. You guys out there, the fans, you gave them their names. You brought them to life. It's you that have kept Killer Clowns alive. Thank you. Okay. Greg Brennan, gotta admit, the XL of Clownzilla would be sweet. Yeah, an extra large Clownzilla would be cool. Like a Rock'em Sock'em robot for Killer Clowns. Where would I go to buy one of those CDs? Well, these CDs can be purchased if you want to buy it from me where I sign it for you, that's on eBay. It's eBay WOSAT Man, WOSAT man. And that's my eBay. So with this, you get a ton of stuff. Well, a ton of stuff. You get like a pin button, a wristband, a tote bag, and 2 posters. And I sign everything. So let me see where we go. Back here. Is that? Oh, I thought that was Ileana. Liam's dad. Thank you. I enjoy your live stream. Well, thank you for being in here and not being bored to death. Okay, Dead Alive has to go. Thank you for doing such an awesome. All right, well, take care, man. Please stay in touch. Please stay in touch. Okay, everyone. It is 7:20. We've been on for 3 hours and 22 minutes. You all have been so good. I so appreciate this time with you all. And we will all be together in person. John, go eat some dinner. That's what my grandmother said. Wait a minute. Did you eat? Amy made me dinner, and a beautiful dinner she made me. And I don't think she realized that I would be talking to you guys this long. Because usually when I do an interview, it's like 15 minutes to 45 minutes. But you guys are special. You deserve more time, right? I think you do. You've been so good to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Hello, Egypt Machine. Thank you for joining. Thank you. You're welcome, Natalie. Yeah, it's fun answering all your questions. You guys have been so helpful and so crucial in keeping Killer Clowns alive. Remember, they only stay alive because of you. The only reason why they're on Netflix is because you guys love it. And it may not seem like no one notices, but I definitely notice. And the people that own the intellectual property, they do know. They are aware of you. We're just trying to come up with something that's really worthy of the brand to make it happen. And there's a lot of connections that have to be made, a lot of dots that have to be connected in order for this to come off great. Hey, Els, look who just joined. My goodness, Chuck Sereno's here. We're at the end of I was just saying goodbye to everyone, Chuck. Chuck Sereno is a great composer, and he's also a sound designer and filmmaker. Funny as heck guy. He and just an awesome dude. And he did the sound design and for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He also helped Matthew Heitschu film the live to film concert. Chuck just called me. Hey, listen, I got some great camera equipment, and Chuck has done his own television series. He did a series where he traveled all over the country, and he he offered to here. I just want to come there. Can you just buy me a couple tickets? And I go, Chuck, jeez, yeah. And he picked himself a sweet spot to film the concert, and it's so cool that he uh, chipped in and helped me make that happen, make it look great. Between him and Matthew Heitschu expertly cutting the film together, it just looks wonderful. And there will be a day, right now, it's just an archive of the event, but there'll be a day where we will release that some way and somehow. Um, Anyways, but you're welcome, Chuck. Hey, you're the man. You're awesome. Chuck and I get together also at IKEA every once in a while and have breakfast. He's hilarious. Talk about a guy that has a lot of stories. Man, he's got he's got more stories than I have. He's actually lived a life. Anyways, so Chuck, we've been on the air for 3 hours and 25 minutes now, and yeah, Matthew does rock. Matthew completely rocks. So, anyways, guys, I think we're gonna say goodbye. Like again, I want to thank you all very much for being such great people, and not falling asleep while I was talking, and actually finding something of value to whatever the heck I had to say. And remember, only you can keep killer clowns alive. So I would say, hey, listen, if you're not doing anything at night before you go to bed, you just run Killer Clowns on Netflix and let it play, with the sound down. You don't have to be watching it. So the more plays we get, the more the world realizes how wonderful and healing this movie can be. And we can accomplish great things if we all work together. Anyways, thank you. I'm going to sign off and give you a big kiss. Mwah. Thank you very much. You guys are all wonderful. I feel like while I'm sitting here, I feel like I'm with family, and it's really sad to leave. But we'll get together again. We'll do something. Hopefully, we'll do something in person too when all this blows over. Love you all. Take care. Mwah. Bye, YouTube. I'm going to say bye to YouTube first. And now I'm going to say, not yet. You want to end your stream? Yes. I'm going to end the stream